I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 171. This one's with Mike McGill and Jamie Akins of the One More for the Good Guys podcast. This episode was already released in their feed, but I thought I'd give the opportunity to also release it here in my feed in case you missed out on that episode. It was a lot of fun. We sat around and smoked cigars, talked a lot of shit, and it was good learning more about Mike and Jamie. And then Mike turned around and asking me the questions I always ask everybody. But if you'd like to learn more about One More for the Good Guys, you can do a search on any podcast platform, One More for the Good Guys, or you can follow them on YouTube and Instagram at One More for the Good Guys, just how you would think, all spelled out, or on Facebook with One More for the Good Guys, but the 4 is a number 4. Give them a follow on all the social media platforms. Make sure you download the podcast, listen to it. They have a lot of great episodes. One of the more recent ones, their interview with J.C. Hahn was a lot of fun, because J.C. Hahn was giving it as good as they were giving it, and it was a load of laughs. Yeah, I appreciate Mike and Jamie for having me on, and therefore being on my podcast. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode.
I listened to Savannah Jane. She's got a last name too. Wolfgram, yeah. And then, but there was another one. Let's see here if I can find it. Well, she was from Florida originally, and you guys
Talking St. August.
Talking St. August.
Yeah.
Talking a lot of stuff. Golly, what's her name? It's a very Schlotterhausen. Natalie Schlotterhausen Jones.
Oh, yeah.
A path to art and geekery.
She was one I found.
She was very interesting and very funny.
There were 2 people I found on some website that connected people.
Yeah.
That I ended up booking a bunch of episodes with people, and then they just didn't show up on the Zoom.
Really?
But that's why I forgot hers, because she wouldn't go on video. It was just a very weird interview. The other guy was Perry Jones, I think, and he talks about having an alien encounter at the end of the episode.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
okay.
And it was a trip. Perry Nally, I think was his name.
Wow.
It was a trip.
And so these are just folks that you found.
Those 2 I found on some website, but most of the others are people I know. Or
well, that's
kind
of interesting, though.
Recommended to me.
I mean, it's kind of interesting to pull, because we've talked about that, of different ideas of how to maybe find folks that are in town that do, anything from wrestling to hunting and fishing. Yeah. Probably more so fishing than hunting. But still, I mean, I grew up, my dad was a rabbit hunter and we raised beagles, so I could talk about some of that stuff, but cigars and, so on and so on. I mean, hell, we've been around long enough that you know a little bit about something.
Yeah.
You can have conversation about anyways, especially when you listen and or watch any of the other ones, and you're just like, I find myself watching some of them. I mean, and I'm saying like some of them that are big name and have got millions of followers, and it's like, you don't fucking know that? Really? Really? I learned that in like 8th grade, man. Come on. And so, yeah.
Although I will say it's funny talking to younger people. There's a young woman I work with who's 27, and I work for an insurance company. I'm a marketing person in an insurance company. Feral Giant was, pandemic was too much. And so I had to kind of ease back and find income. And 27, and they had announced that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be in a State Farm commercial during the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
So I asked her, I was like,
and it was stupid.
Yeah, I was like, does Arnold Schwarzenegger, does that name mean anything to you? She was like, was he on the moon? I was like, what did they not teach you in school? And she was like, no, he's that guy who said that one thing. I was like, well, no, he said like 20 things, but I'll give you the one thing.
Yeah.
Like, she had no idea.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to my boss, I was like, who's this commercial for? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then the other day I was talking to her about somebody. God, who was it?
I constantly date myself.
Yeah.
With references and stuff. It's just like, and they look at you like my dad would say, like a calf staring at a new gate. Like, where'd this come from,
Well, I've told her, I was like...
that's a good one.
Yeah.
The weird thing to me is how when I was growing up, I had my dad and my mom and uncles...
Right.
And friends' older brothers or sisters that would give me music. Yeah. They're like, this is who you need to listen to.
Yeah,
this is why you need to listen to them. Whereas now all the kids have all the music at their hands.
At their disposal, yeah.
And they'll be like, I told her, I was like...
There's nothing to listen to.
Or they'll be like, that dude in the early pandemic who was riding on his skateboard, drinking cranberry juice, and put Fleetwood Mac. And then all of a sudden all these young people are like, have y'all heard of Fleetwood Mac? It's like, yeah. And then Stevie posted a TikTok of her sitting there singing the song, and all the comments were young people going, who's this old lady singing this song? It's like she's a witchy woman. Like, what are you talking about?
That old lady was who your uncles and brothers and dads all had hanging on the poster on the wall.
Yeah.
And did things we won't speak about. Because you all aren't ready to talk about things like that.
Along this same
not
lines,
in the context of the way I'm going to put it.
You end up in HR.
Yeah.
I was watching this thing on, I think it was about the Eagles, but it also had Linda Ronstadt in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I at that point, I didn't realize there was a connection between Linda Ronstadt and the Eagles. And
yeah, they were her band.
And all this. So... But I always had heard my dad and anybody that generation, if you bring up Linda Ronstadt, they're like, oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'd never really laid eyes on her when she was young. I'd only seen her.
She was beautiful.
And I actually paused it. I was like, well, holy shit, no wonder they're Linda Ronstadt fans. I'm a Linda Ronstadt fan now.
There's a comedian I follow, Jimmy Pardo, that he has said he started watching like old stuff on Tubi and all and he was like, I think I found who my one true love is, and it's 1974 Cher. She is the ultimate woman. He was like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, pre-tattoos and everything.
Yeah.
Or at least butt tattoos. Man. I met this dude back in whenever the first year I went over to Hawaii, and he was friends with Bob and my buddy Bob and Meg who used to live over there, and with Matt Morlock as well. But and I was trying to remember his last name. His first name was Freddie. I'll leave it just because. I mean, there's nothing incriminating. There's nothing you could say about this man or anything that we did that would be, if anyone heard it, would just be like, "You did what?" Because this guy, I mean, they broke the mold. He was the largest rock and roll promoter on the West Coast.
Huh.
And left home, was adopted, left home from Wisconsin, from a dairy farm, said, "Fuck a bunch of cows. I got to get out of here." Yeah. And went off and made his own life. But he had keys to the Troubadour. You know, he had keys to what was the other, the big one out there? And both of them are dumps. Not talking disparagingly about the Troubadour because it's iconic.
And you didn't have keys.
But you could say the same thing as like people want to come and play the Pilot Light. Yeah. It's like a destination. Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I know that place.
Yeah.
And again, nothing disparaging about those remarks, but yeah, like the Palomino Club, the Troubadour. But Glenn Fry was his neighbor on Kauai, and of course he knew Glenn when he backed up Linda, and they started out the Eagles, and and then the next thing you know, there's talks about helicopter rides and cocaine and tie hookers and all this craziness, man. But one thing really cool was, so the second year I went back, I went to visit Freddie again, and Glenn had just passed away. And so let me back up just a touch, and I won't make this long. But so the first time we went, I'm like, I'm being told, this guy, he's 70 now, but he's a wild man. He loves a good time. He loves to party. He loves to hang out. Da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. Me, yeah, right on. I'm just going to be Mike McGill when I get there, so it's going to be fine. I'm sure I'll get invited back. So we get there, and he's like, "You like vodka?" He's wanting to ask me what I want to drink. And he's like, "You like vodka?" And I was like, "Yeah." "You like rum?" "Yeah." "You like whiskey?" "Yeah." He's like, "Is there anything you don't like?" And I was like, "Alcohol? Maybe tequila. I don't need to be a big tequila. Irish men don't need to be tequila drunks." And he's like, "Fair enough." So, he hands me a cup and he's just like, and he's just pouring, and he's like, "Say when, and this is like a tumbler. I just, fill it up.
Yeah.
Hell, I ain't got shit to do. I'm over here for a month. What do you think I'm going to tell you? No, I'm on a drink limit. I can't, I can't hang out. Oh, so any rate, we got broke in right. We broke Freddie in right, and he broke us in right. So the next year we went back, Glenn had passed away, and he went into the kitchen of his house. And he had this huge, 12-foot overhangs that went all the way around his porch, so everywhere you went on the porch, you were in the dry, so there's so much outside living there, My buddy Bob had a clawfoot tub out on his deck, it's just, you keep the washer and dryer outside.
Yeah.
Everything's just so different, and so really, your outside space is more and that's the other thing, because things are so expensive and people downsize. You didn't see these big McMansions over in Paradise. You seen very modest homes, but they used they had a garden, they had this, they had a patio, they had, there was always these little different landing spots to make things interesting, and you just had all this usable space. And very influenced by I think about Japanese architecture with the way they built and stuff. But at any rate, I said I wasn't going to make this long, and I'm just running off at the mouth.
Glenn Fry's dead.
Glenn Fry's dead.
Yes.
He's gone.
Say it.
And Freddie goes in, and he says, I couldn't think of any two better guys to have a drink of this with. And he's talking to me and Rob. And he's like, this was Glenn's bottle. This was his favorite. You know, so we all had a shot in honor of Glenn Fry out there on the porch. And it was just pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought about all that, but that's what this podcast does, I guess. You just think about
Rambling,
stuff.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jamie asked when he first came in, he's like, is he an Allman Brother fan? Or is like, I was like, he might be, but I don't think that's why he called it the Rambling Man.
So that's a funny story. I was doing this. I was trying to think of a name, and I was mowing, and Hank Senior's Rambling Man came on. And I was like,
okay.
oh my God, that's great. And I texted Adeem, and I was like, can you do a cover of Hank Senior? He had never heard Hank Senior's Rambling Man.
Well, of course he hadn't.
Yeah, God love him. Or them. And record it. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, no,
And
I
did it
like
in no time. But my buddy Sean, who's been on a lot pointer, every time I talk about it, he starts going, Lord, I was born. I was like, wrong song. Wrong song. He was like, no. It's the song that, Lord.
That's ING. This is IN.
I was like, stop. No,
Yeah.
wrong Rambling Man. No.
Nice.
It started because had 2 straight nights of hanging out, smoking cigars with Sean and another friend one night, Joaquin, who hangs art for rich people in Boston.
Okay.
So we started talking about art in depth. And then
We just had a guest last week talking that he moved from Memphis and went to Boston.
yeah.
And worked for a company who repaired pipe organs all over the United States. So
God.
that was pretty. It's funny. We're on the Boston thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then the next night, our buddy Lance said, I'm thinking about getting into astronomy. He was a PhD student at UT
Yeah.
for English. And he kept talking, and like 5 minutes, 20 minutes later, I was like, dude, I thought you said astrology. And I was like, how funny would that be, having a full-on conversation
Yeah.
with somebody about astronomy, but
This
thinking
makes-
it was astrology?
This makes no sense at all.
He was like, why does he keep talking to me about my fire sign? I don't understand. Like, what the hell?
Geometry, geography.
So the next day I bought the equipment,
mixed up.
and I was like, let's do it. I'm going to start doing it. And I sat with my friend Aaron Donovan, who used to work at WBIR.
Yeah, I know Erin. Didn't she also used to work over at Did she used to work over at Knox Ivy for a little bit? Way back in the
Ooh,
day.
she may have. I can't remember.
I think so. Sandy Brown,
Yeah,
Reddish.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's from Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, we are on the Boston train.
Yeah.
I'm going to Fenway to see the Savannah Bananas with her in June.
Nice.
But she...
Not to break this party up.
Yeah.
But now, since, I mean, you're a big fella.
Yeah.
And I don't like this guy sitting over here anyway. And he just shows up every week. But he's a fucking Yankees fan.
Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
Dodgers fan, so
Okay.
well,
That's all right.
I got
God,
no...
Jesus.
Even better.
I'm surrounded.
Yeah. Mouth off now. Funny
my
man. Let's hear the jokes.
I was born in my defense, I was born in 78. So when I was a kid, it was Fernando Valenzuela or
Oh, absolutely.
Hershiser. Steve Sachs was my favorite player until he got the yips.
Well, and it was the Dodgers or the Yankees.
Yeah,
That's
he
who
plays-
That's
yeah.
who you seen on TV all the time.
Yeah, he played for the Yankees too, I think, at the end of his career.
Who's that?
Steve Sachs.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he was good at that point. I think
Second
he-
base.
Yeah.
Was he second
Yeah.
base? I
With
think so.
Dodgers.
I think he was second base, not shortstop, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why he was my favorite player.
Yeah.
Him and Fridge Perry. I'm a Bears fan too.
I liked,
so.
way back then, I was born in 71, so back then, I hated the Yankees, and of course, Jamie knows this.
Which ultimately means he never had any damn taste.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Don't
That's usually one for you and nothing. That's one for.
Is it?
Keep
Is
it
it?
up. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about
Yeah.
it this time next year and see if that Dodgers payroll gets them the World Series. And if it
Well,
doesn't,
You know,
Then
then
what?
they're only going to be one fucking year shy than what the Yankees have done all their lives.
Oh,
that's
my
true.
God.
But nonetheless,
That is
hijack
true.
my story, you asshole.
Co-host.
I just, yeah, excuse me, pardon me. Let me get that right. Yeah, it was just always the Dodgers or the Yankees. And most of the time that they were always in the pennant races in their respected leagues. And there was, 3-4 years there, they were in the series against each other always. And I was always a Dodgers fan. I could name that, Socia, Say, Garvey, Lopes, Dusty Baker. Come on, brain, you can do it. I was trying to think. Yeah, Lopes was second base. Who was the shortstop back then?
For who?
The Dodgers. The Dodgers. That's my best Vin Scully.
Yeah.
And here's my favorite Vin Scully call. And
Yeah.
maybe you'll appreciate this. If you don't, keep your mouth shut.
Okay.
There's a long fly ball into the clear azure blue skies of Chavez Ravine. Home run, Dodgers.
Hey, we can't agree on one thing. That guy was the
Oh,
greatest.
man.
Oh,
He was the greatest baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I can live with that.
when they developed the MLB app.
Yeah.
Where you could listen to the radio.
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
And it was like the first year I think they did it. I think it was like $50 for the entire season. You could listen to any broadcast. You could listen to it in Spanish, which I thought any broadcast in Spanish, which was amazing to listen to.
And I think Fernando was doing
I think he was.
the color for the Dodgers back in that day.
But I got it, and I was working for the News Sentinel on the corporate side at that time. And I bought that app and sat there and listened to Vin Scully whenever they
Yeah.
had day games. I was like, this is the bet.
Oh,
this
yeah.
work in this cubicle sucks, but
Yeah.
being able to listen to Vin Scully.
This makes it tolerable.
Yeah, this makes it. Yeah, this is wonderful.
I won't kill anybody
Yeah.
today.
There's a guy, there's the art director for Publix. I saw him speak once. And in his thing, he kept showing these photos. He was like, here's my family. Here's the coffee shop I go to every morning. He kept showing all that, and he was like, here's where I show you that. And he shows office, and it was those cubicles that go like this far from the ceiling. He's like, because this is my office, and I do this for all that. And I was like, I've got to remember that. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Well, speaking of MLB app, real
Yeah.
quick. So 16, I think it was, when there was a lot of really cool shit happened in my life in 16.
Yeah.
But I think that's when Vin retired.
Yeah.
Was in 2016.
Yeah.
And I had the MLB app on my TV.
Oh, man.
So every night at bedtime, I'd go crawl into bed and I'd put on the MLB app and I'd listen to Vin Scully call games and I'd fall asleep. And that was pretty stinking cool.
I thought you were going to bust with the same guy, Jimmy Pardo. He likes to joke about Vin Scully. He was listening one time and he was like, I'm going to make up a name. Like Mike Sosa, he's like, fun fact about Mike Sosa, he loves the yo-yo. And he was just like, he was like driving or something. He's like, what did he just say? So that's been a running joke on there. He loves
That's
the
great.
yo-yo.
That's
It's
great.
like, that's my best Vin Scully.
No,
I can't
that's
do-
good. No,
I
it's
can't,
good.
I
It's
can't do
good.
it. So you were originally from Mascot
Yeah.
here. And where you...
Originally from Kingsport,
Okay.
but we moved down here when I was so young it didn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, Knoxville, really.
And down here being across the river in
Holston Hills,
Yeah.
area, Straw Plains
Straw
area.
Plains.
Yeah.
Okay. And what did your folks do for a living?
my dad worked at KUB at the Mark B.
Okay.
Whitaker water plant. He was a plant operator for nearly 27 years, and then the last 9 years, Dad only had Dad only had a 6th grade education. So, like at 11 or 12, I remember sitting at the table teaching my dad how to do fractions.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so when he was hired on at KUB, he was helping a block layer. And this was when the KUB was putting in the water treatment facility out at Fountain City.
Yeah.
And Mark B. Whitaker, the guy that the plant over off of Riverside, looks like the big castle over there, that it was named after, he started talking to my dad, and he's like, you know, you're always early, you always show up, you seem like a nice young man, you know, can you read and do arithmetic? And my dad, of course, said yes, but lied through us like a rug, you know. And he hired him. And my dad, being the guy he was, he got the job, came home, told my mom, was so excited, and then by the end of the night, before they were getting ready to go to bed, he was saying, you know, I lied to that man. I can't. I need to tell him. And my mom was like, you shut up. You've done started this shit, you know. So Dad worked with KUB, and he was in charge of Knoxville's water supply for 27 years, and then the last 9 or 10 years of his career there, he went out into, which was good for him because he wanted to do it, but he went out and started putting in substations and being in the field.
Okay.
And then my mom's always just been my best friend and a mom, you know, full-time mom. So, yeah.
All right, so my dad started out as a high school science teacher and hated it still hates it 50 years later, buddy.
I don't know why. I mean, high school kids are so wonderful.
Oh, yeah. He has great positive stories. I wanted to kill them all.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after he got tired of that, 4 years is all he could take. Got into the insurance business and was an insurance adjuster for, 30 plus years.
In the area?
Yeah, I mean, mostly East Tennessee, Carolinas, that kind. He worked for.
He may know my boss or my boss's dad.
Maybe dad retired in 11, so it's been 13 years. So he was with INA Insurance Company North America, and then Cigna and then with Hartford when he retired. So
okay. And
top dog, he was one of the best apparently in the country at doing that. But anyway, it was good because he could. Like when he was an adjuster, he had to go out and look at shit, and he was gone all the time. Always had a company car. Not gone all the time, but it was okay for him to be out of the office. Mm-hmm. So never missed a ball game, nothing. Ever. I don't ever remember Dad missed a game.
Or a flea market.
Or a flea market, yeah.
Or plumbing fittings.
My father is a legend, kind of, especially in our friend circle.
If you ever really get to know Jamie and he breaks into the that's the imitation of his dad. So and he's spot on with it too.
There was a thing that came out several years ago, shit my dad said, and then they made a show it. That guy ain't got it.
We can't put that out in public.
No, we would be in jail. But anyway,
I will say on that, I grew up playing poker with my dad and my uncles since I was 8 years old.
Yeah,
and I'll imitate my dad on this one. He would just sit there and listen to them tell stories about him or about them, and he would just sit there and listen and go, "Don't tell your mama." Like at the end of every story, don't. And I mean, I've said
like a good dad does.
I won't sit and record nothing but my family stories, but I cannot release that until I am dead. Like, because there are so many.
Yeah.
Sketchy. Very sketchy stories about them.
And my mom was mostly stay-at-home mom. She was an LPN, but she didn't work much. So, and that's it. Mom was mom. And we lived in Knoxville. I went to school the whole time. We moved to Rockford, which is near Alcoa when I was 4, but Knoxville from 5 on. So, 45 years in Knoxville.
Okay.
And how about you? What did your dad?
Me,
what did your
Dad,
folks do?
He was a truck driver for 40-something years.
Right on.
He was called a local, but that just meant he didn't drive to Michigan. Like
Man, he was home every night, right?
Yeah, sometimes it was 11:45 or midnight.
Yeah.
Truck driver for 40-something years. Mom worked for the phone company for 31 years. The day she could retire, I literally met her down there, picked up her shit, and we left.
Yeah.
Because she had to work longer because she
Good
had
for
2
her.
kids. So she had to make up that time, which in 2024 seems weird.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you got to make up that time that you took off to, create an entire human.
Yeah.
Like, but she...
Did you see how big he was? What do you mean I got to make up time? His birthday was the 14th, 15th, and 16th.
So that's a funny story my dad loves to tell. My dad is a 6'4" big old truck driver.
Yeah.
And I'm 6'7", and when I was born, my chest measurements were bigger than my head. And so I was born, and Dad said, "Is that weird?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's abnormal." It's like, "What's that mean?" It's like, "He's going to be a big boy." And so I always heard that story. He's like, "Huh?" And then I turned out big. And then when I was like 35, I was like, "Dad, he was probably looking up at you, 6'4", going,
yeah.
big shocker. He's going to be a big boy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does this mean?
Yeah. What does this mean?
Yeah.
But same
Well, I
thing.
thought you were the doctor.
Yeah. Oh, the run in our family was 6'1".
Wow.
Doc. Yeah, he was the youngest brother. He was the runt. Even his son is 6'3". But my grandmother was 5 foot tall, 90-something pounds, and was the leader of the pack. Nobody messed with Granny. She was tough as nails. She beat tuberculosis when she was a kid,
Oh,
like
wow.
in the 20s or 30s. She was quarantined for like 3 weeks or a month in her house. No one could go in the room.
Wow.
And she beat tuberculosis. I was like, oh, yeah, nobody was going to say anything to Granny.
Hell no. She smacked the taste out of their mouth. That's what she'd do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I was watching a thing the other night. The new season of Dark Side of the Ring is out, the 5th season on Vice. And the first episode was about John Earthquake Tenta. I don't know if you guys remember Earthquake back in the WWF days. You know, fought Hogan. He's a
maybe.
big guy, bald, hairy. Would do the jump around thing. Big guy. But he was married to a little Filipino lady that was like your grandmother's, like 5 feet tall, And this guy's 6'8", 6'9", and just a mountain, sun, there's another eclipse. Oh, what was that? No, John just walked by.
Yeah.
But anyway, it made me think of that.
Well, I dated a 4'11" woman.
Holy cow.
And we were walking down Gay Street, and we were standing next to one another talking, and I took 2 steps over. I was like, I can't take this. Like, I'm literally like this, looking down at you. I got to step to where it doesn't hurt.
I need an angle here.
Yeah, it weirded me out. And Dad, his big thing to me was always, you'll never be bigger than me. You'll never be bigger than me. And then when I finally got bigger than him, he's like, you may be bigger than me. I can still whip your ass.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You got to sleep sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's what mine would tell me. My dad shoots you. Nicest guy in the world, man. But he had those eyes from like that color blue, like Henry Fonda on
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a dad movie. That's what my dad showed me when I was little. Yeah.
I ain't fucking with him. No.
That is the weird thing. I always say he never hit me, but he scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
That's why mine was
like,
never touched me, but boy.
Yeah.
My dad whipped me one time, and it wasn't even a whipping. So my brother and sister are several years older than me. My brother is like 15 years older than me, and my sister's like 11 years older than me. So needless to say, when I came around, as my dad would like to tell it, you were supposed to have been a motorcycle, you know. So, but at any rate, we were into it one day about something. We were in the middle of a remodel. It seemed like we were always remodeling something. You know, did you guys grow up like that?
Every day of my life.
Yeah. We're going to rip this wall out and, and this and this. And your mama wants this gone.
You
I
just
told her
thought you had Saturday planned.
Yeah. Oh, no. I knew better. That's a whole nother story about digging the basement by hand one summer. Any rate, we're sitting there, and we've got like the back side of the bathroom wall cut out because we've got this new fandangled 2-piece shower set. You know, this is way back in the day.
Yeah.
You didn't call bath fitters or go to something.com and get your shit done. You had to do it with your dad, scaring you to death because you couldn't hold the flashlight in the right spot, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, something's being said. My sister lips off. Mom's raising hell. Dad's just sitting there and taking it all in and tells me to shut up. And somewhere in between all of that happening, I had a severe and very quick case of brain damage. And I turned around and I said, "Yeah, won't you shut up?" or something like that. You know, something completely ridiculous. And like I said, brain damage. Just a temporary, quick. And my dad stood up, and I'm really going to date myself now, and he kicked me in the ass like Ray Guy would kick a punt for the Oakland Raiders back in 1979.
Oh, my God.
And lifted me off the ground. And that was the only time my dad ever... I mean, he didn't lay a hand on me still, technically.
Yeah.
But, man, he kicked me right square squaw in the ass.
However angry I had ever seen him at me, I had seen him angrier at other people for messing with me.
Oh, for
and
sure.
And that was there's many stories. But the one story I remember is I was coming home from a football game. I was taking other kids home. I was the oldest one in the group. And this guy pulled me over and just laid into me for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Pulled me out of the car, made me empty everything. It was just like, and I was just, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And just screaming at me and then screaming at the other guys in the car. And then, so I take the other guys home, and the minute the last guy gets out of the car, it just all came out.
Sure.
When I was alone. I drove home, and I cleaned myself up in the car, walked in the house, and Dad's sitting there reading the paper. And he looks at me, he's like, "Joel in?" "Yeah." He's like, "All right." And he looked, "Have you been crying?"
What's wrong with you?
And I said, "No." He's like, "Have you been crying?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What happened?" And I told him, and he said, "Get in the fucking car." And he tore down there and was driving all over the road. He's like, "Pull me over. Pull me up." Like,
this was here?
This is here. This is near Fulton. I went to Fulton. And I don't know what he would have done to that guy if he would have found him that night. And then the next night we went to a UT game, and as we were coming home, there were 2 cop cars sitting in that old BP that's now a Kenjo. And he came from the left-hand lane and turned right in there and blocked them in. And said, "Is that either one of them?" And they were sitting on the top roof of their cars going like, "What's happening here?" and Dad was like, "Is that either one?" I was like, "No." And he gets out and he just starts in on him. And he went to like the courthouse and everything. He was like, "I need you to tell me who this was." Like he was ready to kill the guy. Wow. And it turned out it was some dude impersonating an officer.
You're shitting me.
He had a Crown Vic and he had bought one of those blue lights that went on his dashboard. And he was just messing with us.
No shit.
But for like a year, Dad kept going to that area looking for that dude. I was like, they're going to find that dude in the river. This is what's going to happen. If they find
Maybe he did find him.
Yeah.
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 Only the shadow knows.
But it's funny now because Dad is out and about more now, and everybody's like, "Your dad is so nice." I was like,
Yeah.
To a point. To a point. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad, one time, like I said, he was a big rabbit hunter. And you know, we never had a pickup. My dad never had a pickup truck in his life. Maybe once. And I think my brother might have given it to him. You know what I mean? It's like, so, you know, hell, I mean, this is going to sound horrible to people who didn't grow up with any kind of fucking life at all, but I'm just going to say it. So, you know, we go hunting, and my dad opened the trunk of the car, and those dogs would jump in. They were ready to go, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they were bred to do. They loved it, but we didn't pet them as pets. You know, Sparky didn't come inside. They stayed out in the lot. We fed them twice a day. We kept them fresh water. You know, and they had the nicest place, but they were hunting dogs, and they were bred for a purpose, and they were to work. And you know, and you could just see the excitement in those dogs when you'd go down there. You ready, boys? And that's all my dad had to say. Yeah. You ready, boys? How about you girls? And buddy, they'd go and they'd jump in the trunk of a car, and we'd go out to a field somewhere, and we might fucking drive to Maynardville. Who knows? You know. And those dogs would get out and run. And that was, I think by that time, I had came along so late in life that I had, there was not only a distance between, age distance between my siblings, but there was a big age difference between my dad as well.
Yeah.
So he was a much older fella, and, you know, the stories and different things I heard about him being an outdoor guy and, you know, fisherman, hunter, blah, blah, blah. As I got old enough to do that, I was doing all that stuff with him when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But when I really got old enough to really appreciate it and get a little, you know, size about myself to where I could go out and really do some of this stuff, my dad was done with it. You know, he had done it forever, and he was done with it. But we were right over here back on Carter's farm. Will Carter, actually.
Oh.
This lives right down here, maybe less than 2/10 of a mile from here. And his family had a big farm, and it went back on the riverside back there. And back then, there was no development, you know. So we'd go back there and rabbit hunt. And we'd follow the train tracks, and, you know, we'd walk for miles, you know. And most of the time, Dad wouldn't hardly ever shoot anything then. You know, he loved just being out there, listening to the dogs and watching them work and seeing how smart they were and how they figured things out. And, you know, they'd always bring the rabbit back around to you. They may jump it a half a mile over here, but they would always somehow be able to chase that thing back around in front of you to where you could get a shot at it. You know, it's like just crazy stuff. But we had gotten done, and my dad said, "Let's go, load up." And he was very man of few words. And, you know, dogs, here they come. They seen the trunk lid, and here they came. They were all loading up except one dog. His name was Boy. And Boy had a pretty big stubborn streak in him, you know. And sometimes he would get fired up, and he just wouldn't listen. Boy, I said, "Let's go. Load up." Nothing. He'd throw that head up in there and start sniffing. He was still ready to run, you know. Get on another trail. And my dad was like, "It's your last chance, boy. You better load up. Come on, load up." And he ignored him again. And he started taking off, and not like in a dead run. He just had his nose on the ground and started, he was a wiggle butt, But when he got on the trail, he'd take on a dead run. And my dad just reached inside of his pocket, put a shell in the shotgun, and shot that son of a bitch. Shot that fucking dog right in the ass. And it, like John Gandy, in the great outdoors, blow the hair off this dog's ass. And that dog turned and ran and jumped straight in that fucking trunk. And Dad closed the lid, never said a word to me, never explained anything. We got in the car, closed the doors, WIVK comes on, and we drive home.
Never talked about it again.
No. So years later, I don't know. I was probably a teenager by then. It was long enough that I was ready to talk. And I said, why did you shoot that dog? He said, he just gets hard-headed and he won't listen. Sometimes you just have to do that.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, well, you could have killed him. He goes, oh, no, I wouldn't have killed him. He said, I had rock salt in my pocket just for times like that. He said, so remember that next time you won't listen to me. I was like, yes, sir. So, anyway.
I was going to say, my grandfather...
Different life.
On Dad's side, he and his brother were pretty rambunctious.
Yeah.
They were rough back in the day. And from what I remember, their dad had 5 to 7 different wives, had 25 kids, aging in range from, the only way I can remember it is 100 to 54.
Holy
or the
cow.
two, or is the age range. But my grandfather, man of no words, always looked angry. So I just stayed away. I was like, don't piss him off.
Yeah.
He the one that had 7 wives?
No, his dad. Sorry, his dad. But him and his brother grew up kind of rough because I think their dad just, it was their mom. And it was just really
there ain't no telling.
Yeah. But they go off and fight in World War II. And my grandfather fought in the Pacific and apparently saw some very rough stuff. Mm-hmm. So it was I think with my dad and his brothers, it was never, I don't think he ever hit, Yeah. It was just, but it was like that. It was very stern. Very stern. Like, so those boys, they were rough and tumble, but they also knew, don't piss him off.
No, hell
but
no.
Same thing. They were out playing, and one of the neighbor kids sicked a dog on the youngest brother, David Wayne, Doc. And my grandfather worked for the railroad at night, so he slept during the day.
Yeah.
And my granny wasn't there. She was probably at church. And they had to wake him up to take him to the hospital. And they said, on the way back, so this will make my story about my dad make more sense.
Yeah.
He's in the pickup truck with them. He's like, take me to the house. So they drove and found the house where the neighbor kids were, and they said he got out, and they said he hit the door jamb so hard that they could see the windows on the second floor shake.
Oh, gosh.
Because he was a 6'2" big dude who worked for the railroad company. He said
back then, 6'2", you were a giant.
Yeah.
You were 6'7".
He was born 1917, I think.
Yeah.
But then recently, Dad told me a story that the angriest he that was the big story I'd always heard, the angriest he ever was. Otherwise, he was pretty much even keeled. But the other story Dad told me recently, they were up near Sharp's Chapel.
Oh, yeah.
And this is in the 80s, and they're driving by, and there is literally a noose hanging from a tree.
Yeah.
Because it's Sharp's Chapel.
Yeah.
No offense to any Sharp's Chapel listeners. I figure you understand.
We don't get offended with facts.
Yeah. And so...
Nice segue.
My grandfather apparently stopped the car in the middle of the road and was going to climb that tree to pull down that noose. And Dad was like, all I thought was he was an MP some of the time he was in the Army. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if he saw or had to, like deserters, had to deal with deserters. Mm-hmm. And he said, but he was literally shaking. And it was just like, never see him ratchet it up to that level. or really get angry. Oh, but when they do, it immediately goes from 0 to a million. Like
there's no telling what. I mean, he could have had a fellow. He could have had a fellow serviceman or a company member that was a black man and was getting treated like shit and was over there, dodging bullets like the rest of those people were.
There was also a time when I was in high school, because I grew up kind of on the east side. Was a lot of time the only white guy in the room.
Yeah, sure.
Me and Dad, and
we've said it a million times. Going to Burlington.
Oh yeah.
And going to down where AE and Magnolia, that was going to town.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's you grew up here. That was town.
Yeah.
For us.
But when we was in high school, all of a sudden, I don't know why it came up, but it's Christmas, so we were all sitting around my grandfather. Somehow the N-word came up, and my grandfather's just sitting there. He's like, "My boys don't say that word."
Right.
And I was like, he must have had black friends or something when he was a kid or something. Because somebody who was born in like 1917 to feel that way is very abnormal. So I don't know what happened, but that was one Dad just told me like 3 months ago. And I'm still just kind of like, damn it, I wish Papa was still alive. I want to know what happened there.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
That's something we don't think about, but I was watching... and they only briefly touched on it. It wasn't like anything monumental, but it did make you think. But like, I was watching that Masters of the Air on Apple TV.
I've heard that's really good.
It's good. I think I've not watched it yet, but there's a movie about the 100th. And it's called The Bloody 100th.
It's on there, too. I saw it. Yeah.
It's on there, too. And it was directed by Spielberg and, co-produced by Tom Hanks, of course, with Saving Private Ryan. And better than that was the HBO
Band of Brothers.
miniseries, Band of Brothers.
I watch it at least once a year.
Oh, it's tremendous.
You know what it does to me, though? I had this talk with somebody. Friends is always playing in my house.
Oh, yeah.
For some damn reason. It's a funny show,
Well, you're a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
So go figure that out.
Yeah.
I will say Joey and Chandler are very funny.
You got about one more of them left in you. Yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you.
Remember what he said about the rock salt? You got to be careful.
Yeah, first and last free one.
But, the guy that plays Ross is in Band of Brothers.
Yeah, in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, he's I guess he's in the training side of it.
Yeah.
So he's
He's
probably
like
like
the drill instructor.
Yeah, he's an officer, or is he an officer?
Because he comes back at the end.
Yeah.
And there's the thing where he doesn't salute the guy that was under, and he's like, you salute the what's on the arm, not the man. Or something. I still remember
salute
that.
the rank and not the man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
he's
that
a prick in that.
I hated him. Now I hate Ross. I hate David Schwimmer's guts because of that role he played.
Fuck Ross.
That's right. Exactly. Every time I watch that, I said, so what you're trying to get me to believe here is that
dude
is with Jennifer Aniston?
Yeah.
You lost me.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And then, and then I try to say that as far as modern comedies go, that Seinfeld is superior to Friends. I don't know. We love, every woman on the planet that I know. Not every woman on the planet, everybody out there listening. I'll listen to them. Every woman I know loves Friends and hates Seinfeld.
And a lot of young people love Friends, which blows my mind. Because I know it's funny. I know it's well written.
It is.
But it just wasn't. I was Seinfeld and...
I think,
more modern I still think Parks and Rec is one of the best things because it actually had heart to it too.
Yeah, I really need to watch that. Yeah. I'm terrible at modern day stuff, but after it's came into syndication, and I'll tell you what started it was I built this place. Yeah. Right during the start of the pandemic and stuff. And as I got it closer and closer to being just, in the dry to where I had a space to get the hell away from everybody. And but I had a smaller TV out here, and I had the rabbit ears
Yeah.
and How I Met Your Mother.
Oh yeah.
That was on syndication and 70s show and on Laugh TV.
Yeah.
On the rabbit ears.
Right. Yeah.
And I watched so much of that stuff, and I thought, man, it was really kind of the whole. Of course, I'd seen the '70s show,
Yeah.
but I hadn't seen How I Met Your Mother, and I was just like, the premise of this is really good. It's interesting. It's just goofy enough, but it's pretty good. So I need to go back and watch more modern day stuff like Parks and Rec, like you're talking, because I never watched any of that stuff when it was on.
I will say during the pandemic,
network TV when it was happening.
Before they launched Peacock, I watched Cheers from beginning to end on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I did that
and
too.
it's still perfect. Like
yeah,
it
still holds up.
And I was telling a friend, I was like,
Norm!
they made jokes in like season 4 that were nothing from season 1. Like Cliff went to Florida, and he would constantly talk about it, but then it went away for like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then like season 4, he was like, oh yeah, it's like when I went to Florida. I was like, because I was watching it all in a row. It's like, I understand what that is. Whereas back then, that was 4 years difference. So like, how many people really got?
And 22 or 24?
22 or 23 a year.
Yeah, a season.
And it was weird.
Episodes is what we're saying.
Yeah. It was weird in that, like, every season had a thing. Like, him trying to get Diane was season 1.
Yeah.
Then him and Diane dating in season 2. Like, it was insane that it held up so well. But Norm, every time he came in, he had something he said.
Frasier and Lilith's baby's first words being Norm. That was fucking classic.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
It was wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
Modern one, everything's so short now. It's hard to.
Frasier,
it's like 8 episodes now.
Frasier really held up over the years. I felt like.
Yeah, Frasier is one I would watch more passively. Like when it was on, I would watch it.
Well, isn't it returning?
It did.
It did.
Yeah, it
It
either is or
Night
it
Court.
did. Yeah.
I loved Night Court too when I was growing up.
Original Night
so
Court.
good.
It's on Tubi, the whole thing, if you want to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's the only place I can find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Harry loved Mel Torme.
How hot was Marky freaking Post?
Just passed away not too
I'll
long
take
ago.
my hat off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because.
You sound like my daddy, 1984.
God rest her soul.
Yeah.
That is weird. So a fun fact.
Hot.
Bull's gone too. Recently.
That's right, yeah.
So a fun fact is Marsha Warfield follows me on Twitter.
Wow.
Nice.
Because she joined Twitter, and I saw it pop up. I was like, oh my God, hit follow. And I was like, oh my God, Marsha Warfield is on here. So she followed me, and I was like, oh, she doesn't really pay attention. And somebody posted something that was like, what's your favorite theme song? And I was like, well, there's only one. And I put Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
And she literally responded to me and said, or something like that. And I was like, oh shit, I've been caught. Oh shit, I've been caught. Oh shit, sorry. Night Court's number 2. I'm sorry. Sanford and Son, still number 1. Yeah.
You know who wrote the Sanford and Son theme?
Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Listen to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh God, this is a good segue.
It's so layered.
So y'all are musicians. So do you remember the first album that you were either given or you bought?
I do. First album we were ever given or bought?
Yeah.
That's easy.
Or you can do both.
That's easy. Same for me. You got one? Thriller.
Thriller.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
First one I ever had. Came out when I was 9, 10, right in there.
Okay.
That album changed my musical life
Yeah.
because I'd never heard anything like that before.
It's like 9 songs and
Nobody
7 of
had.
the songs were released. Like, that's another crazy thing. They were all singles. Bless you.
Thank you.
Best-selling album of all time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, nobody had heard nothing like it. It was, and I mean, it was that was a tremendous era. I mean, and MTV played a huge part, such a huge part with the
For a short time.
yes,
But yes.
but during, like,
Exposed our
the
generation
boom-
to
the
music
boom of it.
back when it was actually music television.
Sure.
Exposed
I mean,
us to stuff I wouldn't have got to see.
world premiere
Yeah.
events, stuff you'd been listening to.
Well, in that I went the other night to the Ryman and saw Living Color opening for Extreme.
Oh,
Cult of
wow.
personality.
And
Did
I
they
loved
do it?
Extreme. They ended on it, and everybody went nuts.
I bet they did.
And they were great. Extreme was great. Extreme played for like 2 hours and 30 minutes.
And
Nuno
Extreme played
scored-
for 2 hours and 30 minutes, and 2 hours and 20 minutes of that was more than words.
They did it. But I'm telling you, they've got a weird fan base that's kept up with them that when they play more than words, it was like, okay, but
Hey,
let's
man.
hear like the other songs. But I remember staying up late and watching the premiere of, what's it called? Rest in Peace on Headbangers Ball. Like my dad and I stayed up and
Oh,
we
yeah.
watched the
Oh,
premiere.
hell, I was thinking, was Nuno Betancourt playing with them?
He's an unbelievable guitar player.
Yeah.
He's like, I was sitting there watching the band going, this is like Van Halen Jr. Because you have Gary Sharon, who has the crazy David Lee Roth, the voice, and he's nuts on stage. And then Nuno's.
Oh, yeah.
And he played his version of a Frankenstein at one point. He's like, this guitar I've got sounds out of tune. Can you bring me the other guitar? And they brought out a
yeah.
version of Frankenstein. And he does the finger tap.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
unbelievable.
He ain't no joke, man. He's.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna say he's better than Eddie, but
I would say my
well, he
first.
might be better than Eddie.
I would say the first album I bought, or definitely wasn't given. I wasn't ever given an album, but I was given by a friend of my mom's who was a music, just a true music lover, huge Elvis fan. But she gave me tapes of all the shit from like 1956. Started me there.
Good place to start.
Oh, Little Richard, Fats Domino, the Chuck Berry,
Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
it needs to have a the
Yeah.
in front of his name.
all that stuff, on up through like the Platters, the Pretenders, Jackie Wilson. I mean, all the way, just fed me all this shit. And I never heard, I'm like these kids, like, who's the old
Yeah.
lady playing,
Yeah.
Landslide. So I was soaking it up that way. But I guess probably Thriller was also first one I ever bought.
Okay.
Maybe.
It's a big deal,
Yeah.
man.
Huge deal.
The first one I bought, I cannot talk about because it's
And we both play country
oh,
music.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
There was a record store on Market Square, and I bought a cassette tape of a certain doctor who gave sleepy time tea to women.
Oh.
I bought the best of Bill Cosby in like 1984.
Oh, wow.
And I still can do all of the bits from that album. Mm-hmm. But the first one I was given was a Rap's Greatest Hits with like Fat Boys, Run DMC,
Fat Boys.
Houdini, Dougie Fresh, and Slick Rick. That was like 1983
Slick
or
Rick.
80, or that was maybe 84, 85, and then I bought Bill Cosby 86 or so.
Yeah.
But I don't like talking about the Bill Cosby.
Hey,
It's
we didn't know.
I know.
Hey,
That
you
was
talk
a hard-
about Bill Cosby, we're talking about Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were children.
Although when all that came out about Cosby, I was like, here's all the records, here's all the tapes. I took them to Basement Records. I was like, you can have these. I don't want anything from them. I just need them the hell out of my house. I can't.
When did Thriller come out?
83, I think.
Yeah,
Let's look.
so... Yeah.
So the question I have now, have you all watched the documentary on Netflix about was it the greatest night in pop history? Where they
Yeah,
do the
We
I
are the
did.
world. We
I
were
did.
talking about that before you got here.
Very briefly, but
Yeah.
yeah, we
It's-
touched
It's
on it.
82, by the
Yeah.
way. November 29th,
Okay.
82. So,
Wow.
so
Say
I
this.
had just turned 8,
I was
3 days prior to Thriller.
I was 11.
Man.
Yeah.
But yes, we watched the We Are the World thing.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Unbelievable. Although I will say the funniest thing to me was it was Waylon Jennings.
Waylon.
He was like, "Were you singing? I'm out of here." And he just left.
He just left.
I've been waiting 3.5 hours, Hoss. Old Waylon ain't got time for his shit.
That part cracked me.
I had that album too.
The We Are the World?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So my dad still has like 3,000 or so records.
Man.
Mom was always into the Barbra Streisand, Celine Dion, Bette Midler, Richard Marx stuff. But then Dad, it was Charlie Daniels Band, Crosby, Still, Nash and Young. I heard Buddy Miles before I heard Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
But then he loved the Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah.
Big old burly truck driver driving down the
West
road.
End Girls.
West End Girls.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun.
That's funny.
He didn't like the Beatles.
Yeah.
Barely liked he liked one or two songs by the Rolling Stones, so they were
Boy, I
not,
like your daddy, man.
they were not vaulted in the house. I had
Yeah.
to learn about all the other stuff.
Right.
But it was the same thing, like Otis, B.B. King. He was like, this is all the stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. We had 3 records. We had Flight and Scruggs, live from Carnegie Hall. We had
Well, that's a good one to have, though.
a Merle Haggard record. And we had an Osborne Brothers record. No, we had 4. And a Carl Story and the Rambling Mountaineers.
Oh, my God.
And that's the records we
Were
had.
the Brewsters
growing
on
up.
that one?
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Dad got very lucky, and
And
he had
Mocking Banjos is
Nice.
a cut on that.
nice.
he had a friend that worked at a record store where he would pay $5, and he
Yeah.
would walk out there with a stack. It's like, here you go.
Nice.
he had the hookup.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we didn't listen to a whole lot of music in the house. Really, I would say we didn't listen to any music in the house. Not because there was any kind of rule, just because it's just not. We just didn't do that.
Wasn't something else, too? We weren't in the house.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's very true.
You know,
No,
we
were always
were out.
outside.
That's right.
well, I think his boombox was like his prized possession.
Oh, yeah.
Like we would take it to the beach with us and stuff. He
Yeah.
always had the music going. He actually won a contest on
But just those 7 years
yeah.
through
Oh, yeah.
where you were in that
Yeah.
influential stage, that same
Yeah.
age that we're talking about, you know, there was transistors up to that point. I didn't get a boombox till I was a freshman in high school. I didn't
Yeah.
get a boombox till like 84.
Oh, I didn't have my own, and
Yeah.
I didn't
No,
touch
no,
his.
no,
I
and
didn't touch it.
I didn't mean.
I didn't get his.
No,
mine.
no.
I think it's still sitting in his closet somewhere.
That's funny.
But he won a contest, IMC, where he got a chance to win the
Rock 104 WIMC. by the
Yeah,
way.
it was 104.
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
to win the ZZ Top car.
Nice.
They had a giveaway at Bill Meyer Stadium, and they gave, you call in and
Yeah, I remember that. Everybody got a key.
key, and it was during a day
Yeah.
where I was playing in a baseball tournament, and he was our coach. And he was like, "I'm just going to have to miss it," because he was like number 120, and he was like,
Good luck, boys.
he was like, "Let your mom coach. She'll be fine. She knows what she's doing." And
I gotta go with a
I gotta go
34
with-
Ford Coupe.
and he lost, but they gave him a ZZ Top keychain that he still has.
Yeah.
I think Mom ended up taking it for him. She was
That's
like,
awesome, man.
This is too great. Do you remember? Well, I guess it would kind of be in the Michael Jackson. I was like, the first song that made you kind of prick up your ears, like that made you stand up and take notice.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. Probably something off of that, probably like Little Richard or Fats Domino or Chuck Berry for me from those tapes,
Yeah.
that I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Long before I got to buy my first album, like we talked about, my mom had a bunch of 45s. We still have them somewhere. And I'd say the song that Johnny Be Good was probably the first, because it had Johnny Be Good on one side and My Ding-a-Ling on the other side.
God.
Yep.
Yeah.
And My Ding-a-Ling is the only #1 Chuck Berry hit ever.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And so risque
Really?
back in that time,
Well, I think what's also funny is it's risque for then, but I remember in like the 80s going to Easttown Mall with probably my grandmother.
Record
for
ball.
sure.
And my ding-a-ling was on the radio.
For
And it was
sure,
like,
yeah.
I was like, Granny, let's change the channels real quick.
Yeah.
So I'm like 8 going, I know what he's talking. He's talking about
I'm
his
feeling uncomfortable,
Yeah.
Grandma.
Granny.
How about you? What was yours?
It was Bill Cosby. Oh,
Okay.
the song.
Yeah.
I can't even tell. You know what? I have asked that question so many times, and I can't tell you.
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you what my parents say. They said they were driving down the road, and all of a sudden they heard me in the back seat singing every word to Jesse's Girl.
Oh,
And they're
wow.
like, we don't even like this song. How does he know Jesse's Girl? Like, what is happening? Like, why is he doing that? It was Jesse's Girl,
All
I
right.
guess. And I don't remember that. I was very little when that happened.
I would lead with that.
No, I'm going to do something a lot cooler, like Mahler's Fifth Symphony. That
Yeah.
was her song. That made me stand up and take notice. When did you all pick up your first instrument?
I started playing banjo at probably about 10 or 11. Yeah.
I started playing around with pianists when I was like 5, but I started taking lessons, I think, when I was 8.
Okay.
Would that have been right? 7 or 8, somewhere in there.
Okay. Did your siblings or your folks play any instruments?
My dad played guitar and sang, and then my brother sang really well and wound up throughout the years and most of his adult career sang professionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
My mom sang. My dad can. My brother played drums. He's younger than me, so really, no, I didn't grow up around a musician at all. Now my dad's dad and all his brothers played and sang and whatever, and mom was musical enough, and I was around it, but no, I didn't have anybody. Dad could play 3 chords on a guitar, but I wouldn't say Dad played guitar, nothing
Yeah.
like that.
I don't know what my grandfather, before he went into the war, he would play a little bit, but then never really played again. But his brother played mandolin, guitar, everything. And we recently found a recording where he was on the midday merry-go-round.
Oh, cool.
And
Very
do you know
good.
Bradley Reeves?
Yeah, we've actually I'm currently rescheduling Bradley to come on the podcast.
Well, he
We had him
digitized it.
scheduled.
He found it, and he was just like, "Oh my god!" He was like, "Yeah, this is
Nice.
your great uncle," and
That's
he's
so cool.
yeah. I was happy that I got to see a WDVX show at the old WNOX next to Whittle Springs.
Yeah,
Before it went to pot, like
yeah,
Did they tear that building down?
yeah.
And a friend of mine, Daniel, went in there before they tore it down. He was like, "There's no way they could have fixed it. Like
Yeah.
the roof
Oh,
had
yeah.
collapsed, and
it
was just
pretty bad.
But that auditorium in there was gorgeous.
Yeah, I played there 3 times.
I wonder if you were on the show that I was at. This would have been early 2000s.
No, this was back when I was probably like 11 or 12.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what the show was called, though. It was a night show. Golly, what was that show called? But it was broadcast on the radio and everything. I'll think of it.
Okay.
But, yeah, I played that one time, and then it wasn't a barn dance. It was some barn something, maybe. But then I played there for a fundraiser for a bluegrass guy back in the day, and I do have a copy of that show that Alex Leach made for me,
Oh my God.
and it's got my daughter introducing the band.
Wow.
That's
when we
awesome.
come on stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then there was another time I played for something.
I just remember it was very hot in there. There was no
Yeah.
air conditioning.
Yeah.
And it was, I worked at a print shop where the owner was a huge bluegrass fan. and he and I talked about DVX all the time because they had just kind of started, I think, at that point. And they did a big fundraiser show, and it was like a long day. But he bought us all tickets because I think it was like $5 or something. He just bought it. He was like, anybody wants to go? You have a ticket?
Yeah.
We're going to go support WDVX.
Nice.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that first show I'm talking about, I can't remember what it was, but it was on the radio, and it was it was still when WNOX was broadcasting.
Oh, man.
And I just can't think of the name of some Saturday night barn dance or Saturday night something, Friday night, I don't know.
As far as like writing music and stuff, when do you think you kind of pick that up, or do you remember the first song or lick you wrote?
Oh, yeah, I do. I remember the first. Well, yeah. I won't go back to the first song I wrote because I was probably about 16, maybe. But I remember the first song I wrote that I eventually heard on the radio for the first time. And I had been going through this on-again, off-again relationship with a girl. And I was up, you know, of course, in my cups and, you know, somewhere between feeling sorry for myself or pissed off, you know how that goes, right? And I looked out the window and I seen the taillights of my dad's car come on. And he had been retired for a couple of years, but then he started working for Cardinal Health, delivering nuclear medicine. So he was just a courier, and he loved it. And it gave him something to do.
Yeah.
But I just remember sitting there looking at that, and I'm like, he's getting up going to work, and I'm sitting here worried about some kind of bullshit, you know. And I wrote this song called Lately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you still play it, or is it?
Yeah, every once in a while. I'll
Okay.
do it on the solo thing. We probably should learn it and do it at a band show one night.
That'd be good.
Bill Foster's been asking for it forever, and I just still haven't done it.
When's the last? I mean, when
Like,
did you
these
do it?
guys don't know it. Huh?
When did you do it? Where he heard you? Does that used to be a Romeo or something?
No, it was back in the Drunk Uncle days.
Wow.
So quite a long time ago.
Bill remembers stuff like that, don't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Lately, I've been sitting here thinking, spending too much lonely nights up drinking, spinning records and waiting for my woman to call.
That's great. Yeah.
And I wrote it on the back of a paper plate. I still have the paper plate. I should hang it up in here somewhere.
You should.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That was the only thing I could find to write on.
You should do that.
Yeah,
That's
I will.
something-
I've got all the manuscripts from my songs that I've written, you know, in my own handwriting and stuff, and lines through it and shit. You know, the first copy, the rough copy, the finished, you know, and all that. I save all that shit. How about you there, Leroy?
Well, I've written some songs. I don't remember when the first one was or any of that, but that's not kind of my wheelhouse anyway.
Okay.
I've written a lot of music, like for people that had lyrics, or like I've done 2 hip hop albums with some guy, and did the music for that. So my wheelhouse as far as creating with music has always been instrumental for the most part. Not always, but usually.
Okay.
Which is odd because I write a lot, but just not music.
Okay.
So
I never thought to. Do you remember a website, or do y'all remember a website in the early to mid 2000s?
We're going to talk about that?
No, called
Jesus Christ, Jody.
well, it's an audio podcast, not visual. No, called Knox Bands.
Huh.
No,
Knox, I do. Yeah, I
promoted shows and interviewed bands.
Yeah, I
and
remember
stuff.
that. Yeah.
So that was me.
Okay.
Oh.
So I
okay.
ended up at local shows. That's right where I saw you for the first time. At that point, 4 nights a week. I was at shows all over town.
Where was the first time you seen me, do you think? Do you remember?
I can't remember now. Because all that time is a blur. Because I was working a full-time job.
That's a strike
doing
against
that.
Jody.
Sorry. There was also a lot of times where I would leave somewhere like the pilot lot at like 3 in the morning.
Oh, sure.
And get up and go to work at
Oh,
6
dude.
o'clock the next
Yeah.
morning. And
I'm just
I was like,
aggravating you.
it was like, oh my God, there's not enough coffee in the world.
Yeah.
It
And yet
kicked
we
my
still need a resource like that because you don't always know where everybody is or where they're playing.
No.
I mean,
Yeah, we got tagged in a thing the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but I told them when we started doing our when I started posting our podcast episodes on Instagram and stuff that I told them we would hashtag them in it. But it is a service that does that.
There's a
try to
new one
find
called
it.
like Knoxville Ooze.
I think you're.
And I
think
can't
we're
figure
all
out
over
who's
it.
running it. But the
I
only
don't
thing
know
that
who-
cracks me up is because they were promoting. I'm friends with Serena, and they were promoting her shows, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Here's a review of a Chinese buffet." I was like, "But this is not a music."
Chinese buffet paid them.
Well, oh God, well they've gone to many ones, since
Maybe.
then. But
Maybe.
it was just like,
I
why
don't
are
know
you
that.
talking about a Chinese buffet? I thought this was I still don't understand. And
We-
they've started doing paid ads, so I see their stuff all
You
the
talking
time.
about Serena, formerly of Guy Marshall Serena?
Yeah. Yeah.
I started that man with Adam and Serena.
Did you?
Yep.
I've known both of them, same thing, forever.
I've known Adam and Serena since 08. And Adam, they got married in 09, so
Yeah.
I was at their wedding. She's a great singer.
Yeah.
And he's a great talent, too. It's just,
That was a band that I was like, I think this band may actually go to the next level.
Yeah, I only played with them in the very beginning because we did that first. They did a 4-song EP that we
Yeah.
recorded, and
I
I
think I have on CD at the house.
yeah, it's got 4 tunes on it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the piano player.
Okay.
That's me on that, and then that was the first band we had. I recorded that in the basement. We
Oh my
recorded,
God. Okay.
and yeah, and like that Bit of Dirt song, is that one of the ones you?
Yeah.
I love that tune. Yeah, I love them both. I mean, but I only played with them probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 shows, 5 maybe.
Well, even when like Knox bands went away, I still kept up with so many local music, and that's how I got to meet like Matt Morlock or Will Carter's great examples of. Matt, it cracks me up because I'm like, will he remember me? And every time I see him, he just comes up and gives me a big hug. I was like, okay, Matt still remembers me. Like even at Wayne Stock, he came up, he was passing by and he did a double take and he just reached up and grabbed me. And going to like Hot Fest at Corner Lounge with Dawn, like, or getting to know Tim and Susan Lee, who are still 2 of my favorite people
they're
in the
best.
world.
They're the best.
Sitting at Backroom Barbecue with Tim and
Yeah.
Dawn.
You might have seen me at Backroom
Probably.
Barbecue.
As
Because the uncles used to,
yeah.
we basically used to get, well, I wouldn't call it paid, but yeah, when we first started that group, we went to Backroom and did like a Wednesday night thing.
May have been because I was also
We're basically rehearsing is what we were doing.
I was really close with Sean Kimbrough too, Daniel's
Okay,
dad.
yeah.
Mountain Soul.
Yeah, Mountain Soul.
Yeah. To where he and I would hang out there too. So when Daniel started coming around, I was like, "Oh, this your kid?" It's
Yeah.
yeah. Which is hilarious now.
Oh, I got a pack of those Hoya de Nicaraguas over there, and then in that canister there, I don't know if you ever had one of those at all, but that's a
Last call.
I think it's like a 3.5 by like 48 or 50. AJ Fernandez, Last Call, Connecticut Broadleaf, San Andreas Binder, Nicaraguan fillers. They're pretty great. I like them real well because a lot of people don't like the closed foot.
I do.
I like the closed foot. Have you had one of those with a closed foot? So grab you one out there. You just take it with you if you don't want to smoke it. But closed foot is they don't finish it out like this clean, and they just wrap the wrapper leaf over.
Oh, yeah.
So with you lighting it with a match, you just go straight in.
Okay.
And what you do is those first few puffs as you're lighting it with that closed foot, you're just getting all wrapper. So you can really taste by the time it starts, after you went through the wrapper, then you can tell more. You'll be like, oh yeah. Tell more about the blend and all that good stuff. So
I'll let you make fun of me for this. So a friend of mine bought one of these.
What is that?
And now I swear by it, it's a cocktail fork.
Oh no,
I
it's
like
a
smoking it to
a
the
nubber.
nub.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I swear this, and I've given away more of these.
No, that's great.
I mean, that's a great idea.
I used to take
I used to just use toothpicks. I still got toothpicks.
Yeah, toothpicks is good. Or I had something laying around here though, like MacGyverish. Like, oh yeah, that'll work for that. I can't remember what it was now, but.
Do you know John Phillips?
Yeah, I know John.
So John actually made him one of these.
Nice.
Like when he started the metalworking thing, he made Sean one of these.
Is John a cigar smoker?
He's more on mushrooms and.
He smokes other things.
Yeah. Last time I saw him at a show, he was just kind of staring at me. I was like, John? Are you seeing me?
I don't know you.
Am I green? Do I look like a frog right now?
Yes. And I work with fire. Yeah, funny story. You mentioned that Schlitz globe up there.
Yeah.
I went to John was living with my my buddy Bob from Hawaii. Has a house here in Knoxville too, and John was living in Bob's house. And that's when I first met him. And I went over there, and I was helping Bob do something in the garage, and I seen that globe, and that was John Phillips.
That's amazing.
And I said, hey man, what are you doing with that old Schlitz globe over there? He goes, just something I found, or I picked up along the way, one of those. And I said, would you want to sell it? Does it work? Yeah, I'd sell it. Yeah, it works. And I was like, I'll give you $20 for it. So yeah, okay. So
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've carried that thing around for
amazing.
Ever.
He's another one that has some interesting Knoxville stories.
Yeah, I'm sure.
About building out what was World Grotto.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting my pull chain put in the Schlitz Neon over there.
Oh, that'll be
next Monday. So
that's big news. We should have led with that.
That is, yeah, no shit.
Bam.
That is big news.
Breaking news. I'm gonna insert a jingle.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first gig? Or did you all do open mics or anything? Here, I say that right as you all are lighting up.
Well, let's talk about that. I started playing out a few years before he did in this town.
Yeah.
They wasn't no damn open mic nights then, man. That was
really?
early 90s. They wasn't none of that shit. Old City was nothing. There, it was basically a fledgling thing, and but I remember my first gig very clearly. It was at Flames over there. You know where that was?
Mm-hmm.
And it's gone now, but there's a church, a Presbyterian church on Asheville Highway. You familiar with Asheville Highway?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're coming, there used to be, you know where Chilhowee Hills is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there used to be a motel right there, and Chilhowee Hills bought it. there was a bar.
It was a Howard. Was it a Holiday Inn? Howard Johnson's or Holiday Inn? I can't remember which.
I think it was Howard Johnson's.
Yeah, I believe
It
you're
had
right.
a place in it called Flames that was a
That's
bar,
right.
and they might have done a little bit of food and stuff. Con
The
Hunt,
hotel bars were the best,
Yeah.
man.
Con Huntley used to play there. A lot.
Yeah.
And that was the first gig I ever played with a band, and Con showed up. He was there, played
Yeah.
and did one
That's
with
crazy.
us. Yeah, but that was my first gig out for sure.
That's you saying that. I always heard stories from my dad about bluegrass shows at Buddy's Barbecue,
Yeah.
Well,
where he would see people that went on to become like Bela Fleck and
Yeah.
Jerry Douglas when he was still a kid. Like all these people in the 70s.
Phil Ledbetter when he was still a kid.
Oh,
yeah.
Because Phil lived over there. I used to work at Pick and Grin, so
Okay.
I got a lot of buddies'
I
roots.
remember Knoxville Grass was always their favorite band.
Paul
And then-
Brewster and Glenn Laney and who
Jimmy
else?
Millsaps.
Jimmy Millsaps.
And
On
then
5.
Nashville Grass with John Cowan, I think was his name. That they were actually from Nashville.
Yeah.
And I think that was one where Bela or somebody was
That was some Newgrass Revival.
Newgrass Revival.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Not Nashville
Yeah.
Grass, Newgrass Revival. Those Knoxville Grass albums, it was funny. The old man who used to own Basement Records, who was kind of ornery, he would have those Knoxville Grass albums, and he was like, he would put like $75 on them. He's like, people will pay for it.
Hey, they will.
Yeah.
And now I've just by happenstance found him, like the new guy at Basement, who's been there for like 10 years. He's the nicest guy in the world.
He is too.
And I found him there, and he was like, $10. Give me $10 for that. I was like, yes, I will happily pay that.
I
Yeah.
picked up one.
Darby's Castle.
I've got that album with
Yeah.
Darby's Castle on it signed
Oh, yeah.
for $2
Oh my god.
at
Nice.
that 66 flea market.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
It's only signed by 2 of them. I think I knew Glenn.
I still
and Paul.
recall the days that timbers would
Glenn's
be
passed
red.
away, but I
Used to
think
remember
Glenn
the
signed.
words to that song.
Well, it's also on Paul Brewster's first album,
Yeah.
Darby's Castle. It's a good cut of it. Written by Chris Christopherson
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's right. Yeah.
on his self-titled
Yeah.
album, Darby's Castle. We like to throw little useless tidbits of
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was
trivia.
trying to think on the Painted Lady album, they did a Grateful Dead song, "Friend of the Devil." I heard that before I ever heard a Grateful Dead song in my life.
Yeah.
Like, because they were big Knoxville Grass fans and weren't Grateful Dead fans, so it's like, how weird is that I heard a local band do it? First gig?
I don't really remember. You know, probably I think it was the barn dance, WNOX barn
Yeah.
dance. I
think
swear.
that was it.
I think that's
Yeah.
right.
I think it is. I don't know. I don't even know who I would ask.
I guess it
that.
would probably be that one. I didn't get paid, but, you know, I didn't have a good agent back then.
Well, I was telling, for work, we did
Yeah, probably that one.
a thing at Lonesome Dove up on the top floor, and I was laughing at them. I was like, we walked up, and I was like, okay, well, there's this narrow set of stairs over here to the left. We're going to have to walk up. I've carried many an amp up that damn set of stairs, and they're like, and it's gone now. The stairs aren't there anymore. It's like,
Oh, really?
no, we went inside and went up and around. And I was like, thank God, because those stairs were like that deep. You almost had to walk sideways to go up. Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah. I can't tell
What
you.
size shoe you wear?
16.
Yeah, that ain't gonna fit on the fucking step.
No, sideways.
Sideways.
yeah.
Barely. At that.
You know what's funny is the reason I said that was because I was listening to a podcast today, and they had who's the big guy that played left tackle for the Rams. Played for years with the Bengals and then played with the Rams. Won a
Munoz?
Super Bowl.
Anthony Munoz.
No. Current day player.
Oh, the big bald guy.
Orlando
yeah, big bald
Pace?
guy. No,
I can't remember his name because he's a commentator now.
Eric. Is it Wentworth? Eric Wentworth. Yeah, he's on Amazon now.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was talking about going up steps. He wore a size 17. He was like, going up steps is hard enough, without drinking. I mean, he's like, I gotta go up sideways because my feet don't fit on the treads.
We had to go. We had a cousin that passed. My dad's cousin, so my second cousin passed away. It was her uncle that played on the midday merry-go-round. That's how we found that out. But we went into the basement under the house, and Dad was like, "All right, I don't know how you're going to go down these stairs, but you're going to have to figure out a way." Because they were like this deep, concrete, and they were this tall, and it was like, I'm going to die, man. I don't know how we did this. Okay, so how many episodes of the podcast have y'all done? It's around 20?
This, I think season 1, the guest portion of what we're season 1 will be 22 episodes.
Okay.
Counting this one, I think.
So what made you all start the podcast? What was the genesis?
We started smoking in the honky-tonk cigars long before the podcast. It's something that I've played around with and I've always wanted to do. I have recorded them before and I always wanted to do, and come to find out, we sit here and talk about what the hell ever while we're smoking 2 or 3, and he's always wanted to do it too.
Yeah, I'd been wanting to do one for probably at least 5, 6, maybe 7 years. I'd seen it, watched some for the first time and started listening to some of the very, very early ones and was just like, this is genius. This is great. There's no rules and you can do whatever you want. Talk about, whatever you want. But we went through a while with it that, should we have a format? Should we do this? Should we do that? And as being musicians as well, a lot of times you get in your own way. Yeah. Because you want it just so. And what you really missed is if somebody just had that recording, whether it was good or bad, that's in their, they judge that. They behold to that.
Yeah.
Not you.
Yeah.
You just make it, and then you get it coming back, And how many, songs at an early age could people have heard if I just didn't want to make it just perfect? Just fucking do it. Just do it. And we finally got to that point where it was just like, let's just record, and we'll see what we got, and then we'll figure out what it's supposed to do and where it's supposed to go, and now, so you've seen how we started. It was just kind of like you're a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
And we may talk about anything from our parents shooting dogs to to whatever.
To making rap albums.
Yeah, making rap albums. And singing country music. And buying Thriller for their first record. So there's no rhyme. I like it. I like for people, because everybody's like, well, they're long and I don't know. And I'm like, there's not gonna be a pop quiz.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You're just a fly on the wall. So if you want to hear us talk some shit with Jody or Daniel Kimbrough or Red Hickey or who the hell ever, then that's what you're going to hear. We have no... Everybody was always real worried first... I don't know, what do you say? First 4 or 5 guests were like, what is it? What should I do? And I'm like, we're just going to talk. And wherever the conversation leads us, it leads us.
Yeah.
I want to find out a few things because I've known you guys for this long, and I really don't know. There's bar talk, there's music talk, there's, somebody wants to meet you talk, and you don't get to know Thriller was the first album I ever met.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. So, and even people that we've shared the stage with, performed with, or known for 15 or 20 years. There's some stuff we still don't, you know. So that's kind of where we came from with it.
Basically, just to extend what we already did.
Yeah.
Without the tape on.
Right.
This is what we do anyway.
Yeah.
So.
That's how do you know PJ Alexander, trumpet player? He was in Gran Torino, but he's played jazz.
I know of him. I don't know him personally.
So he was one that I would see at gigs, see at shows, or sit and BS with him for a few minutes. But then he finally came over and talked about what he was doing for a living. We sat outside and smoked a cigar for like 4 hours. And it was funny hearing stories of us both being around the same people.
Yeah.
And like, it's been very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good for us, I think, too. Just personally, on a personal level, on a communication level. You know, that's one thing that I took away from the pandemic and all that stuff was, if you thought about somebody, I called them. Mm-hmm. You know, because at that point in time, especially, you know, really close to the first of everything, it was like, you just didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, so if I thought about someone, I called them and I talked to them, and you know, and then we started kind of having a weekly Zoom call with a bunch of our friends, and you pop in if you need to pop out. So what? You know, good to see you. Who cares? You know, don't catch the Rona.
Yeah.
But we'll see. You guys want to do it again Wednesday? You know, and so we did that for a while. So it's been very good in that regard, because I forgot how much communication skills we lack or lost.
Yeah.
Or, you know, just put behind us, and then you get out in public and you're just like, whoa, you can't say nothing, or you're talking so damn slow, people are like looking at their watch like, come on, spit it out, hurry up. You know, so it's been good in that regard too, just to catch up with folks.
Yeah.
See what they're doing. Brag on people, you know, tell them you love them, that kind of thing.
Well, I can't tell you how many people that it's hanging out on the podcast is the longest I've ever sat down and talked to them.
Yeah.
It's like people you just see in passing. That
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, we can. And it's funny how many, because a lot of mine are long too, and how many people have sat down and been like, well, I saw some of yours are like 3 hours. We're never going to do 3 hours. I don't have 3 hours in me.
Okay.
And there was one at the end, I hit end. I was like, we just did 3 hours and 12 minutes. And she was like,
Yeah.
there's no, holy shit, we did 3 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah. How long was Red's? How long did it wind up being?
We didn't pause it, so it was like an hour.
Hour and
Real low.
55 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So, one of the things she said, Tennessee Barn Dance was a WNOX show.
Tennessee Barn Dance.
By the way. But she was like, I can tell you all right now, I don't have anything interesting enough to talk 2 hours about.
Yeah.
I was like, well, don't worry about it. You know, we ain't got the stopwatch running. It'll be fine. And that's why I like Jamie, just to hit. Once he's got his mics where he likes them, I just like for him to secretly hit record.
Oh, yeah.
Because then everybody's been talking for a little while, and then you go, oh, and by the way, we're talking with Jody Collins from the Ramblin' Man podcast today.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, shit. But it just lets things happen more organically, I think.
I do too.
People not knowing.
Well, you know,
And you're not trying to trick them or get them into something that you don't want them to hear.
we tell them.
Whatever,
We tell them when we start.
Yeah.
You know, I just think that you can never have too much tape. Hell, I can always edit it out, you know, especially it was a concern back when you were having to buy physical tape to record to, but now if you don't like it,
Yeah.
you just start over. Reusable cards and stuff, you know. So, but yeah.
Did we say how many episodes?
I think it's going to be 22 finally.
Okay.
I think we
Okay.
just uploaded 19, I
Okay.
think.
And you started yours
think 7 years ago,
Oh,
6
wow,
years ago.
okay.
How many episodes are you up to?
I think I just released 165.
Okay.
Dropped today with Jay Master, who lives in Austin, Texas, who's a branding and design person that I've been following on Instagram, and I just send him. We will DM every once in a while about rap music because he'll post a song or I'll
Okay.
post a song and be
All
like,
right.
"That's a good one." And then I finally was like, "Do you want to come on?" And he came on, and he talked about moving to Hawaii for a
Yeah.
long time. Like it was just
Okay.
fascinating to
Very
hear
cool.
his story.
So you just reach out.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Although the funniest thing to me is organizing, and I can show you this list. I have every month, at the end of every month, I set up, here's what I do for organization. There's an app and website called Calendly. And what you can do is
Is it the one you sent me?
yeah.
Yeah.
That you put your availability. So I have this list of people that I have been trying to have on
Right.
for like, God knows how long.
Yeah.
That it's like I just send them my availability at the end of every month, and if I record with them, I'll delete them off this list.
Right.
Some people, it's like I have 2 kids and I'm getting my master's. I do not have it in me, but keep asking every month. I was like, okay.
Yeah,
My
sure.
friend Lindsay, I was like, okay, I'll just ask you every month and see.
Hey, Lindsay,
Lindsay,
Do it.
stop being a quitter.
Do it.
We don't need
She will probably
fucking
listen to
quitters
this.
on this
She will probably-
podcast.
Lindsay
Oh,
Sharp.
shit, I
I'll
don't know
give her a
Lindsay
Sharp.
Sharp.
Okay, she's an awesome person.
I love you, Lindsay. I love your kids, but fucking put them to bed already.
So I had a show.
Watch a Bernie Mac special. You'll understand all about kids.
Yes, you will.
Just teasing, Lindsay.
During the pandemic, my friend Rob Travis started a radio station online called Raucous Radio. And I had a weekly show on there called Porch Sitting,
Yeah.
where I would play songs that were porch sitting songs, but then I would interview people about music. What was your first? That's where what was your first album? All that came from, and that was fascinating to hear different people like Brandon Gibson.
Yeah.
Brandon, I had him on to do a Christmas.
I listened to a little bit of that.
Brandon was amazing. I kept
Yeah.
trying to get him on to do one about his opera that he wrote, but he
Yeah.
was so closed off during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That he was like, I was like, let's meet in the park. We can sit
Yeah,
20 feet apart.
yeah.
He's like, nope, not going to do it. And that's it's a huge regret that it sucks that he's gone, but it's also a huge regret that
Yeah.
didn't get to talk to him like that.
Yeah. I know, man. He was such a good fella.
But doing the porch sitting with him was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Lindsay came on, actually did a porch sitting. So I
Nice.
can't give her too much crap, but
All right.
I want to talk to her about art at
All
some
right.
point. But yeah, 165 episodes, and
And you do them from your place?
do
Do you do them live, or do you travel some, or Zoom some? I'm sure.
I've zoomed
like
some.
what you're
I've
saying.
driven to Georgia.
Oh, wow.
To interview this guy, LaRue Cook, who's from Knoxville, but he wrote for,
That name sounds so familiar.
I think,
to me.
ESPN, the magazine.
Oh, wow.
Like he was a writer.
Yeah.
And then something happened. He got fed up. He moved back to Knoxville and drove Uber and Lyft. And he wrote a book. And it was like, LaRue, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I can't remember. The name of the book was like Stories from the Rear View. And he talked about conversations he would have of the people that sat.
Put your kids to bed.
Yeah.
Stories from the rear view.
Yeah. That's a
Sorry.
different story. That's,
Yeah.
if I interview a bartender from the carousel, that'll be a
I digress.
Yeah.
I digress.
But he told in the book, it's a great book about the people he met while driving the car.
yeah.
So I drove, he was,
That's interesting.
yeah, and he teaches down at Georgia Tech, Georgia State, and I went down there and interviewed him, and it was
Yeah.
great.
I love when I'm traveling abroad and you get taxis or stuff like that, man. I talk to them, and I don't care. I've been so drunk and still tried to talk to them. And I'm not that guy
No.
really normally. Like,
I'm not either, but
just to go up and talk to. I mean,
I got in the front seat in my cab in Aruba and told the guy that he knew for damn sure where Natalie Holloway was. That's how drunk I was, buddy.
oh shit!
I told him, I said, now come on, buddy.
Oh man.
You know you killed a bitch.
Oh hell,
You
fire.
know you killed a bitch. And so I
crazy
said,
munch.
I didn't know her. I just want to know.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
But I'm trying to think the furthest I've went for a Orlando. I was in St. Augustine and
Yeah.
drove to Orlando to interview this couple, and that one was pretty good.
Wow. Yeah,
But-
that's cool.
But yeah, I love doing it. So
We've had all ours here so far.
Yeah.
You know,
I've started doing them at my house because it's
Yeah.
it's just easier. Because I also know my place and everything.
Yeah.
Usually,
Sure.
if it's a woman, I'm like, if you want to meet in public, I'm totally down with that.
Yeah.
I've met people in parks. I've met people downtown.
Have you ever done one remotely, like recorded them over the phone or anything like that?
Just Zoom.
Zoom?
Just Zoom. Zoom is pretty good.
How's
From
the
a
audio?
From a tech side, well, I have a good mic. It only sucks when they don't have a good mic. But it
Makes sense.
You can, this is some nerd stuff, but it can export separate channels. So I can bump them up and even me out.
That's nice.
Yeah. So I've done design and illustration and video and stuff for so long that I learned video editing long ago, and that eased into audio editing.
What
'Cause
kind of software are you using?
Audition.
Okay.
Because I use
You're
all
an Adobe person, yeah.
the InDesign, Illustrator, I have to do all that for my job. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I see.
yeah.
I've got the Adobe suite. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, yeah.
It's too expensive, but yes.
Yeah, it's expensive. But really, compared to what software used to be,
Yeah.
you know.
What would you say you all have seen as a change in the music scene here in Knoxville over all these years?
Oh, God. Well,
Is this going to be the hot take
Well, it's pretty
section?
broad.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, what do you mean?
Like, do you
Like,
think it's
change
better,
for the better,
now?
change for the worse,
Change for the better, change for...
changes you don't like, changes you want to slap somebody in the head. You know,
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah.
One
But
of
do you
the,
think
It
it's
comes
better?
with the territory,
Do you think
but-
it's better now than it used to be? Or
Well, I think Jamie can speak with that.
It
you
depends.
know, like
It
you're talking
depends
about
on what
open
we're- what
mics
you're
and all
talking
that
about.
stuff.
you know, in the
From back in the
90s,
day.
when country, you know, meaning us three, we went through that era of our childhood when hip-hop was the shit, and that was what they played everywhere. And then when country had a resurgence, you know, in the early 90s, late 80s, but early 90s, especially when Garth and that crowd started taking off, that's what you had to play around here to get
Yeah.
paid. And back then, we talk about this because we still do honky-tonk type music, at least some of our set. And there used to be a lot more places like that to play for that stuff than there are now. Now, the music scene...
Now they're just kind of like places to play, and not necessarily for that thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good point.
Is that right?
Yeah, because those places
'cause when you
got,
said that, it just kind of zeroed in on.
that was it.
what
You
you
could
were
play
saying.
two things there. You had to play new country and classic rock, and you had to have a combination of both in your set list. That's what people wanted to hear in live band situations. Where now, of course, when Market Square started having its revitalization 25
Sundown
years
in
ago,
the cities, and
yeah, even before that, like when Tomato Head first moved in there,
Dogwood Arts.
and we played. We were the first band to play at Tomato Head, as far as I know, with John Paul.
Oh yeah,
We played there when it was
that sounds about right.
when it was like half the size it
I
is
would
now.
believe that. I don't know.
And of course, the Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
You had the
Yeah.
Mercury, so you had really a two sides of the coin. Then you had the people that were playing covers that were playing that, and then you had everybody that was trying to do original music.
Yeah.
Now, there is a much more emphasis now in Knoxville, big time, on artists and people doing original stuff than there ever has been. Certainly, that really didn't exist as much in the early 90s. Now, at least in my circle. Those circles were totally
Yeah.
separate.
And I don't know if fad's the right word. I don't think that's the right word to describe it, but it's certainly been something with the times that I don't know if trend is the right way of saying it, but maybe it's a little less negative than fad. I don't because I don't take it as being a negative at all, but there might be a little bit more. That might just be a very trendy thing that somebody steps out, or 2 or 3 people step out, and the one great thing about, and I'm gonna tie this all together, but one great thing about it not being like a place for this type of music is, that's a two-sided coin. You kind of like to have that place to where you went and seen this kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's also pretty cool that you can go out and maybe see an R&B act, a bluegrass act, and then a country act all in the same week or weekend at somewhere who's just filling slots with talent versus trying to pinpoint in on a theme or whatever. But I do think that the singer-songwriter and the more original stuff with the bands, I definitely think that came along probably. And I'm not a fucking expert, okay? But probably a lot of that came along with probably like about that time. John Paul, V-Roy's.
Really did.
All that stuff right about that time, I'd say, is when it kind of really lent itself to more original stuff. And like these guys are doing shit you hadn't heard before or stuff you hadn't seen before.
And I will say, like when we were doing
not so much as theatrics, but just their presentation.
Knox bands,
authenticity, I guess.
We met with the people. God, I can't remember her name. The woman who used to book Blue Cats. This was like 03 or so. And I remember us meeting with her, like, what do we have to do like a local night? To where it would be all local bands playing their own music. And she was like, it costs too much just for me to turn the power on. There's college kids coming here who want to dance on a Friday or Saturday night. If it's not cover bands, it will not last. But then we started, some touring acts came through, and we got some local bands to be openers for those touring acts. So some of the local bands, which was a lot of fun to be able to kind of push that along.
Yeah, for sure.
But I remember the days of the cover band,
and they're still there. It's just the cover bands now are out doing special events and weddings and stuff, and making a lot more money and doing fewer shows.
In all actuality, if you want to say that, we're a cover band of sorts.
50-50.
We cover a lot of stuff. I mean, there's nights we can do 50-50. There's nights we might do
80-20.
80-20.
Yeah.
To either side.
Yeah.
Original and or. It's just what we want to do that night.
Yeah.
We're pretty selfish when it comes to that. I mean, because you're reading the room, and then there's just stuff that's fun you always wanted to play, and now you got a group of guys that all like the same shit, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
And if we have fun, everybody else is going to have fun that night too.
And there's one other major difference now in the last 30 years that I've seen.
Our covers might not be, they were probably pretty obscure.
Yeah, there's like 3 people that know them outside of the band.
But that's
that
good.
They're covers. That's good.
Yeah. Because when they lip off, that means they don't know shit, Jody.
That's right.
And hey, I've got the microphone. Don't fuck with me.
Oh, yeah. If you've not seen a Mike McGill the Refill show in person,
you'll love it.
Please come with a smart-ass mouth, and you will get the most for your money. Here's one thing that's really different about music, live music now. Even then, it was especially from the venue owners or managers, hey, look, we want people dancing. We want people up here. The dancing of today versus then is completely different, because then it was more couple-centric stuff. The couples, it would be slow dancing was a big deal for cover bands, okay? Because here'd come everybody, and then you'd have to do 3 or 4 in a row.
Everybody
especially
slow dance.
Yeah.
Everybody finds them somebody that's a little ticklish, maybe a little squishy, and you get up there and polish each other's belt buckles and
that's right.
have
and
a
then
good
go back to
time.
your seat. If it doesn't have to be you're getting married.
Yeah, you ain't got to
But
get
everybody
down.
now's a chicken shit. So everybody's dancing what they call dancing, hopping up and down in one spot, whatever. And there is romance in music, live music is dead.
Yeah.
It just completely is dead. There is none of that. They'll get up and dance if we play fast shit. If you get a couple to come up there and dance,
or something a little groovy.
But if you get a slow dance, it's going to be the married couples or the 3 that are there. So that's a big difference. Is that there is no focus on that at all, really.
But we, as a band, as Mike McGill and the Refills, we're seeing a little bit of a resurgence in that, because we're getting people up to dance now.
Yeah, which is nice.
Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah. Well,
it makes our job so much easier.
Makes it more fun. But back then there was almost a mandate.
Yeah.
That, listen,
it's kind of like playing in Texas or Louisiana. You strike a chord in Texas or Louisiana and you're a band, people's going to be dancing.
Yeah.
Period.
And that's it. That's true. And a lot of the places we played, half and half, were beer only.
Mandate.
So you got to sell a shit ton of beer to make enough money to keep the lights on, and people dancing buy beer.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a big difference from today. I think that now the musical community, and of course social media and all that helps, but is much more, at least overlapping circles of people, whereas back then it was completely none.
So that may very well help or come back to the fact that you've got an R&B group Friday night, bluegrass group, a country group, or vice versa, whatever. But you've got so much. You've got choices. You got not choices. You got options. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I would say.
I go to a lot of Bijou shows, and it's amazing. But I still do not feel like I see enough black acts in there. And then, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He's a keyboard player. He's in Maroon 5, but you would never know he's in Maroon. PJ Morton, that's his name. And it was like an all-black audience. And I almost wanted to go up to Courtney and go, you can book black shows here. People will show up, man. It doesn't have to be indie rock or whatever singer-songwriter stuff. It is interesting because back in the day, in my college years and right after, was the time of Moose's Music Hall. And we would go see all these big bands, but it'd be during the week because they would do, what's it called? Bubble parties on like Friday and Saturday night, where everybody would go and dance, and it would be up above everybody's head with bubble, and they'd play DJ music and stuff.
And somebody should have been standing on the mezzanine with boom boxes plugged in and thrown them in the midst of those people.
I got drugged to one of those. I stepped on a couple that was on the floor having sex, and I looked at my butt, I grabbed my buddy Cartwright, and I was like, I'm out of here, man. I was like, because I saw somebody puke in that spot 2 nights ago at the Fear Factory show. We need to. I'm not here for the bubble party, man. I'm not. That's going to be my merch. A T-shirt says, "I'm not here for the bubble party."
Yeah. Everybody know you're a liar, Joey.
Yeah.
They'll just look at him and be like,
"Of course,
really?
Yeah.
Does he think he's kidding himself?
I will say,
he ain't kidding us."
It was fun in high school going to the Mercury for punk shows.
Yeah.
When I was way underage, and still getting into those shows, which was.
See, Jamie has a much better idea about that time frame and the city in general, because I was playing music. I was being a pro. I was making money, but I was off the other way. I was up in Sevier County.
Okay.
I was fleecing the Yankees. Yeah.
There's your merch.
Yeah.
Fleecer of the
Yeah.
Yankee.
Fleecer.
Fleecer of the
Period.
Yankee.
Places.
We don't need no adjectives.
Wait, Fleecer?
That's the only Fleecer.
Fleecer in the Yankees font.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
great.
Yeah. I don't know if I can wear that.
Yeah.
Well, make you a winning fleecer.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Well, I'd rather be a loser.
27
I'd
championships.
rather be a loser.
Obviously, you're a Cubs
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
One World Series a
Burning
century.
white hatred heat that I have for the fucking New York Yankees. I hope the ghost of Ted Williams and Don Zimmer
Oh, I
comes
hope.
back and
I
butt
hope they-
fucks George Steinbrenner on the mound along with Babe Ruth watching.
Oh, my
That's
God.
how bad I hate those
my
bastards.
God.
I hope the
Is
Yankees.
that too much, Jody?
I
He
hope-
started it.
No.
He started it.
You warned him.
I warned him.
Lord, you did.
I warned him.
The biggest thing I wish would come. WIMZ used to do a thing in the old city where they would shut down the old city
Oh,
and
yeah.
put a stage at one end.
What?
And what they did was you.
Played that before.
What was that called? You
I
guys
don't know,
remember?
but we did it.
It wasn't Hot Summer Nights, but they would
No.
shut down, and then you paid like $5 to get in, and like BW3 and all them
Yeah,
would
yeah.
have food,
Yeah.
and you would get food. It was great. It was awesome. Like it was
Huh.
just a lot of fun.
And then they just quit.
Where'd they put the stage? Like
The stage when I
down on
played, is
Jackson? That
back to the railroad tracks. Patrick
Yeah.
Sullivan's
Oh, okay.
right there
All right.
facing
Yep.
town.
That was
yeah,
it.
that's perfect.
Yeah, we played there, and our lead singer got arrested on the last song for indecent exposure.
All
So
right.
it was nice.
Stand up.
It was on Halloween, that one was, but that was them running that
Yeah.
show. So, yep.
Was it stand up or I always feel like somebody's watching me? What was the last song?
I forget it.
For him
Was,
to get naked to.
well, it was
And you heard me right.
full.
Naked.
naked.
Go full Jim Morrison.
It was like
Yeah.
a blues. It wasn't
It's
R&B
Doors.
blues band, and I forget what he did,
The
but
Lemon song?
he just pulled his drawers all the way down, and they just
Oh,
cuffed
God.
his ass,
Oh, my
boy,
God.
right afterwards. It was hilarious.
Now you can say that's performance.
Detroit
art.
was in that band. Detroit Dave.
Now you can get booked at Big Ears for that shit. I'm just saying,
You
Jody.
can. You can. Oh God. Oh God, you can. I still. What was there was a band walked in the pilot light one night called Fecal Japan,
Oh, shit.
and they had pool noodles on the stage. And I just
Fecal
walked in,
Japan.
I walked in the back. I was like, "This is interesting."
Why does that make me think of?
I don't know
Yeah.
why it makes you think about anything.
Oh my God. I walked in, looked
You
at it. it's like,
sorry, bastard.
it's interesting, but this is not the night for this.
This
And walked
is.
out.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Oh my God.
This is completely. This is completely off the subject. But have you listened to Joey D's recent guest appearance on Rogan?
No, Joe Diaz?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
it's hilarious, man.
I hadn't seen the latest one on Rogan, but I love Joey Diaz.
Oh my
I love
God, he's
Coco,
funny, man. He is just.
He's the fucking best.
They're talking about. You just had to see.
I loved it when he was talking about a nut allergy.
God.
He was like, "If you ever seen that clip,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
I will say, there's a podcast I love called The Honeydew with Ryan Sickler,
that's so good."
and he is.
If you guys,
Yeah.
I got to take because
Yeah.
you brought it up,
He mentioned it the other day.
man. If anybody listening has not listened to this podcast,
it's,
The Honeydew, and he has a Patreon thing.
I was one of the first patrons because I
And
was a
it's-
big fan of his previous podcast called The Crab Feast.
Yeah, and he has a thing called The Honeydew with Y'all.
Yep.
And it's basically, he named it the Honeydew because he was in a diner one night and they brought him a fruit tray and he looked, or a fruit cup or whatever the fuck, and he looked around as he was getting ready to leave and he just seen nothing but honeydew left on everybody's tabletop. And he was like, "That's what I am. I'm the fucking honeydew. I'm the looked over fruit that's perfectly good and sweet that nobody wants to eat.
Yeah.
So his podcast is about the people highlighting the lowlights of their life. And so many times it gets pretty serious, but it's so funny because you're dealing with comedians a lot. But he has a Patreon account called Honeydew with Y'all, and it's all his listeners write in and or video in the their stories, highlighting their lowlights. It's $5 a month. Jody, you're a member.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's the best $5 a month I think you could spend.
And
so good.
There's one story that is burned in my memory is a guy, and I think it was a lung transplant. Do you remember this one? He got a lung transplant.
Oh, yes.
And he was like super low on the list, and then somebody, a guy about his age happened to pass away that had the perfect match. So he got bumped up. And they were like, his parents want to meet you. So he was like, I don't know if I want to meet the parents. So like, well, it's not an option. They're coming in here to meet you. So he went in there and met with the parents, met him. And they're like, this is great. You know, you remind us a little bit of him, all this. His girlfriend wants to meet you. And he was just like, I don't want to meet the girlfriend.
This is too much.
Oh, no. It gets better.
Oh.
So he's like, I don't want to meet the girlfriend. So the girlfriend comes in there and meets him. And then...
And the whole time, just to interject, the whole time, the family that's meeting him that
of the
just
kid who
gave
died.
them their fucking kids' lungs is saying how much he reminds them of them, how much he's so much alike to him, which I'm sure is fucking weird enough.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, not only did they lose a son, I got his lungs, now they may think that I'm their son. Yeah. I don't know. That's the way I would think about it.
So he meets the girlfriend, and he said, it's weird. But then they start talking. They start dating. They get married and have kids. And it was an hour-long story of just that. And he was like, and so he does one with this guy, Josh Wolf, this other comedian.
And he's always like, now wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a minute. Josh Wolf, and he'll play little snippets for Josh, and Josh reacts.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is Sickler. At the end of every one, he goes, $5 a month. And that just crazy. $5 a month.
It's so good.
It's the craziest story. But he has a series with Joey Diaz where he's running from the
Joey's
beginning
timeline
of his life to the end. And it's hilarious
so
because
good.
you're like, all right, Joey, we're up to 1982 and you're in Colorado.
And it's like
all right,
6
here
episodes.
We go. I think maybe,
maybe more.
But it's hilarious because he'll be on again and he'll be like, all right, we're up to 1984,
all right,
Joey.
Cocksucker.
All right, cocksucker. You're in Portland. I'm in Portland.
I'm slinging dick like a doctor walking in a...
I'll tell you what, man. He is one of the funniest dudes alive. He just fucking talks and I laugh.
Oh, he's so
Every
good.
The one that always stands out to me is when he told the story of Lucy Snorbush on Rogan. And that's still maybe one of the hardest I've ever laughed.
I'll catch that one. I'll listen.
That was a very old one, but it was just...
I don't know, man. The amputee...
Oh, yeah.
Fucking parole officer. He's in a halfway house. Just got out of jail for kidnapping a motherfucker.
My friend Hannah
He's putting Drano under his dick skin to go take drug tests, and it's blowing up the drug test. Nobody knows what's going on. He walks back in. There's a one-legged girl. Oh, my God. It's just awful.
My friend
So
Hannah
funny.
and I will trade back anytime it pops up for us. We'll share it with one another. It's
funny.
His podcast where he's just sitting there and then he goes, "Get up, you cocksuckers!" And he starts going into "This is America, damn it!" And he just starts going. Oh God, it's still one of the funniest things.
The Church of What's Happening Now.
Yeah.
That's when I fell in love with, like, you were asking me earlier about podcasts. Probably one of the first ones that I I heard Mark Maron.
Yeah.
I heard a little bit of the Adam Carolla stuff, audio version. But when Joey and Rogan started doing stuff that was on YouTube, and there was just the full shows, and I seen Joey Diaz, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
I've got...
You want to be the guy's best friend immediately.
Yeah, and I've got 50 fucking stories short of kidnapping somebody just like that. I mean, I grew up with guys, you know, the hillbilly version.
Oh, yeah.
But the hillbilly version of Joey.
Yeah.
You know, it's so real.
But
Ryan Sickler, the Honeydew podcast, he's also got a special out on YouTube that's free called Lefty's Son. That's pretty damn good.
About his dad.
And, yeah, go check out Ryan Sickler. I truly believe, he's one of the good guys, and I'm just going to choose to do that.
Yeah, he is.
But when you hear him laugh,
oh, God.
it's just fucking genuine.
Yeah.
You know the guy's really, he's not just
Laughing for show.
laughing for show.
So I got to meet him.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
When he was doing the Crab Feast with Jay Larson, they played in Asheville.
Okay.
At some weird venue. And I went in there and saw it, and I was the last person in line. And I got to talk to him and Jay for like 5 or 10 minutes at the end. And it was just... Jay Larson also has one of the funniest bits ever. He was on Conan talking about getting a wrong number. And it's like 7 minutes long of just playing with these people. And it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
I like Tom Papa.
Tom Papa's funny.
He's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's so, he reminds me of, what people probably wanted Ed Sullivan to be.
Yeah.
Or the 1950s game show host.
Yeah.
He's just so, I don't know. He's so funny. So funny.
This may be too big of a question. I may have to drill it down.
Oh,
Is there
God.
something you all would like to see more of in the world?
Yes.
Okay. That's a great podcast. Yes.
Yes.
I will say.
Do you want to guess what it is?
No,
No.
there was a guy.
Jody just broke out in sweat for everybody listening.
It's 30 degrees in here, and he's sweating. I don't know what. No.
He's nervous.
No. There was a person I
He wants a
interviewed
do-over.
very early on that I would ask him questions, and that would be his response. Yes. No. And so I finally had to add a rule to mine, which is don't say one word where a paragraph will suffice. And people understood. Talk. You got to talk. I can't deal with.
Okay, repeat the question.
Yeah.
I'm ready now.
Is there something you would like to see more of in the world? If that's Knoxville or music or podcasting or
Yes.
Yes. I got you.
yeah.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Kindness.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck, this is called One More for the Good Guys, for Christ's sake. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, kindness. That's what I'd like to see more in the world.
Honesty. That's one I'd like to see more of.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Or just maybe I'd like to see more of people keeping their word, doing what they say they're going. You know, if you're not going to do it, don't say. Just don't give your word.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a real stickler on that. And kindness, yes. I mean, I could use a lot more of that myself, but honesty, man.
First step's admitting it, Jamie.
Yeah.
Just so
I know. Yeah, I've been stuck on that first step for years, though. I can't. It's like a 12-step program. I'm on step 1.
I don't do New Year's resolutions.
How about you? Fuck off. You ain't asking all the questions, Jody. How about you?
We got
There's
2
one-
mics, by God.
Yeah. One jackass at a time. Right now, I'm asking the questions.
I would like to see more people caring about other people without worrying about how it will benefit them.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I don't do New Year's resolutions, but every year on my birthday, I usually assign a task to accomplish before my next birthday. One year it was I did a postcard of the day every day for a year. I was like, I'm tired of emails. I'm tired of texts. I'm tired of phone calls. I'm going to draw for kids, or I'm going to write a note to a friend and send it off. I ended up writing reviews for restaurants. If I went somewhere and had a good time, I would write them a note on a postcard and mail it to them.
Pretty cool.
But one of the years I said, I'm going to do a good deed of the day every day of the year. And I kept a field notes in my pocket.
Nice.
And I was like, every time I do something, could be just be holding the door open. Could be something bigger, but it just needs to be thinking about somebody else.
Yeah.
And it completely changed how I looked at the world.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, I missed like 30-something days, but I ended up doing 500 and something good deeds within that year. And that's not humble bragging.
Hey.
That's just...
That 30 days, you
As long
just
as
like...
you can justify it to yourself, Jody, that's fine.
So those 30 days, you're like, fuck everybody this day.
Yeah.
It's like, I could open the
Fuck
door
them
for
kids,
you.
Lindsay.
That's right. That's right, Lindsay.
I ain't putting up with that shit today.
Oh
I
God.
can't take it.
It's like Bernie Mac said, fuck a bunch of kids. Yeah, so those 30 days,
Just
you're
teasing.
just like,
I can't remember what happened. It could have been I just didn't leave my house that day. But
Well,
But yeah,
whatever.
but yeah.
Whatever. You made
yeah.
an effort to do something, and you stuck
Yeah.
with it, and that's pretty great.
Although
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Bernie- the Bernie Mac thing.
I mean, I think it's a little calculated,
Yeah.
and I think it's a little bit of a planned answer, considering I said kindness,
God,
you said honesty,
yeah.
I was
and
piggybacking
then
because
we asked him, and he made that shit up.
Yeah.
So
It's not about me. It's about you
Yeah.
guys. This is Rambling Man. I'm interviewing you guys. I try not to. I've gotten one 1-star review and one 2-star review, and I guarantee he talks too much about himself too damn much. So I was like, damn it, okay. But then you look on other people's podcasts, and they have negative reviews, and they're great podcasts. So
Who looks at the reviews on that
I'm not
shit?
looking.
it's just when I pull it up.
I
can
know.
See it,
I
and
see
it's
it
very
too, but I mean,
clearly-
it's like, do you go to a podcast and let me look through the reviews?
Yeah,
That sounds like something I do when I buy something on Amazon.
yeah, that's true.
Like, Jesus, I want to know, it's like a 4.9 out of 5. Who's the fucking outlier here?
Yeah.
yeah,
But I mean,
did you laugh a little bit? Did
Yeah.
you learn something?
But one or
Did you-
2-star review is
Yeah.
pretty. I mean, you basically took a whole month off of Good Deed. Just like said, fuck
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that could be one of the 2-star reviews.
Well, I also did 2 episodes where I told, because I'm 45 and have never been married, and I did 2 episodes where I told dating stories. So I didn't think about that. It could have been ex-girlfriends that heard me talking shit. My friend Krista interviewed me.
Did you change the names to protect the
I have nicknames.
not so
for people.
innocent?
So
Oh.
here, I'll give you one nickname
Oh, I like
that
this.
is one of the greatest things ever that my friend Krista gave to me. She dubbed one woman that I went out with Whale Tits. So anytime I type...
Well,
du-
arr, blow me down, matey.
so anytime I type
Well, I go out with this girl too. Let's see. how it's
W...
go-
I mean, she got a sister.
Anytime I type WH, I'm going to show you a picture just because I
Oh, no,
want to
don't
get
do
the
it.
reaction.
Hurry up.
The,
Don't do it. Hurry up.
the WH,
I'm
anytime I
lonely,
type
Joey. I'm lonely.
WH on my phone, it auto corrects to Whale Tits, and it's capital W, capital T, the first T.
Well, of course it is.
Yeah,
It's whale tits, for Christ's sake.
let's see. Here we go. Because other friends of mine have also heard stories, I have in my public folder on Dropbox, I have all these videos that she posts on Instagram. Because it's all... Oh,
Now, wait a minute. Does whale tits know she's whale tits?
no.
Good God Almighty. Hell, far Billy.
Yeah,
That's
her.
what the hillbillies would say.
There we
They
go.
How
hell
does she
far-
not know she's whale tits? Is what I want to know.
There you go. She was awesome.
Unsolved mysteries.
Now I've got to close that out before I accidentally open that at work tomorrow
And now-
on the Wi-Fi.
She not got a mirror at her house.
When this
fuck?
comes out 3 weeks from now, Jody will be canceled.
Tell me we canceled.
But I had nicknames for them all, so
Yes.
I wouldn't tell. But the funniest part was I told the worst story.
She didn't know.
How did she
Yeah.
not know?
How did she not know?
The last story was so bad in how the woman treated me that I watched my friend Krista, and the look on her face was so bad that
What'd
I
you
just started.
nickname her? Cuntzilla.
So wait a minute, Krista was doing the podcast with you?
She was interviewing me.
All right, you hear that, Lindsay?
Oh shit! We got to quit picking on Lindsay. Damn it.
Well, I've got a doctorate and 2 kids. Okay.
Well, nobody likes a braggart, Lindsay. Oh my
Braggart, yeah. Sounds to me like you're a fucking multitasker.
Yeah.
Throwing a
Krista
podcast.
Just
was
teasing
so
Lindsay.
Oh,
angry
God.
at the last story. I was like, I just started giggling because it was so funny. And she
Yeah.
was like, I was like, do you hate her? She was like, I hate people. I want to kill her. I was like, okay, Krista, calm down. Calm down, Krista.
But this is not whale tits. This
No,
is a
this is
different.
another one.
I got you.
What
Oh,
did
no,
I
you
call
can't
her?
kill 12 tits.
No, it's
God damn.
Second piece of merch.
Where's
Can't
a man
kill
get a
her.
harpoon in East Tennessee? I mean, that's the question. Can't kill her.
I'm trying to
We
remember.
don't have a harpoon outlet here, and fucking. I mean, we got a Bass Pro Shop, but that's bass. It's not whales.
I got a buddy that it reminds me that I'm going to start doing this on the podcast. I'm going to start saying, "Well, I'm offended about everything like that," because a buddy of mine, he worked with
That'd
a
be your
guy.
answer for being a Yankee fan.
Yeah, I'm offended. He worked with a guy. He was in law enforcement, and they both were. And if somebody was bringing up something that was, probably would be frowned upon by the department, he would always say, "I'm offended. I'm offended." They finally asked him, but they said, "Why do you say that?" He said, "Because by God, if it ever comes down to something like that, I can tell them that I said I was offended."
Yeah.
But you laughed. He said, "I said I was offended first." So,
Yeah, that's true.
well, tits, I'm offended
Yeah.
that you
She's
didn't
awesome.
that you didn't
She's
know
great.
I'm not offended.
that you didn't know that you're.
I'm somewhat in awe, but I'm not offended.
Hey, yeah.
Do you all have a dream guest for the podcast other than whale tits?
Well, now we have two.
I mean, quite literally.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, God, that's a good question, Jody.
Man,
I love that.
Disappointed.
I love that.
Shit, I don't know, man. I mean, local
Or just
or just
In general.
complete
Shoot
Walt
the moon.
Disney.
Shoot the
Who
moon.
gives a fuck?
So my dream, there was
Joey Diaz would be the dream.
oh
guest for
man,
me.
we'd be dead.
I mean,
we'd be
or
dead.
Ryan
Oh, yeah.
Sickler. I think Ryan Sickler would be pretty much a dream guest too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But are we talking about
the
anybody in
reason-
history?
So I will tell you.
well,
my,
that's true too.
Yeah.
my dream guest. I would love to sit down with this and smoke a cigar with Sylvester Stallone, because I'm such a huge fan of him and the Rocky films and all that. And I know he loves cigars. I was like, I think he's a fascinating dude. He paints and stuff now. I was like, I think that would be interesting.
Well, you know, it'd be okay, Jody.
I think that would be my dream guest.
God, man, dream guest. If we just pick it out of a hat and it could be whoever that's alive.
That's a.
Damn.
I mean,
God, most of them are dead. Let's see.
really, Stallone? I mean, out of everybody?
Because
No.
there are two
Don't
that
you change up.
there are two that I
You-
couldn't.
Honesty,
Yeah, Stallone is-
empathy,
Kindness.
kindness.
There are two that I don't think I could get the words out to. They're Magic Johnson and Kevin Smith are my two biggest. But
Yeah.
I don't think I could honestly have a enjoyable conversation. With them, 'cause
So
I-
you're a comic book man.
Yeah.
Are you?
I've got 40-something long boxes. So I grew up. My dad. When
Would
he
you
was-
like about 60 more? Because I've got a comic book shop
Oh,
that
do you?
that you need to buy some shit at.
That's what I meant to tell you. Yeah. Okay.
Larry Bird, then. If I'm going to get one, it'd be Larry.
Legend, man.
Oh, maybe Jack Nicklaus. I think maybe Jack would be before because you still got time on Larry. Jack's 80.
Well, the thing about Jack, though, I think he'd give you a lot of bullshit.
He probably would. I mean, it'd be hard to.
I don't think Larry would give you no bullshit. That would be the other part of.
No, but I'd have to
Like,
mute
he
some
could
things. I'd be
really-
like Larry, mute.
Yeah.
Jordan's not the best of all time, is he? Like, we're not on the air. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Get my answer and go back to it. Boy, there's a
Larry, mute. Did you really understand and know that you had Isaiah Thomas' career in the palm of your hand and that you could crush that fucking man
at any moment
and feed him cake?
Here, I'll give you the second most famous person I've ever met in my life is Charles Barkley.
Oh, man. How great was that?
I picked out a cigar for him at Cam Newton's cigar shop in Atlanta.
And you were this much taller than him, too, where
I am.
He's 6'4", telling you.
Yeah.
So I walked in. I was sitting there with a buddy of mine. And
Knucklehead.
That's good. That's pretty good.
We didn't realize Mike was the master of the impressions. Like, that's your next thing. But we were sitting there, and he walked in, and I was sitting with my buddy. He's like, Charles Barkley just walked in. He's like, no, he didn't. I was like, there he is. And so he went back to the humidor, and my buddy was like, go buy him a cigar. Go buy him a cigar. I was like, all right. And I got up, and I opened the door, and he did a double take. He's like, what's up, big guy? And I was like, hey, how's it going? I was freaking out.
What's up, big man?
What's up, big? That's how it went. And the guy was helping him. I was like, actually, I've been smoking this cigar, and it's pretty good. He was like, oh, which one is that? And he came over and picked out a cigar.
Do you remember which one it was?
No, it was one that I had not heard of before.
Yeah.
I can tell you where it's at in the shop, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
I will say I keep all my wrappers, and
Yeah,
I eventually
yeah.
want to make a coffee table of all the wrappers.
Okay, so you got to meet a guy. We'll take a pee break here in just a second, and I'll show you a lighter. We've got a friend I made through Instagram. We should totally, now that Jody's talked about that, we should totally have him on a Zoom or
Oh, yeah.
just fucking fly him in on a weekend that we're playing music somewhere.
You talking about Glick?
Yeah. It's this guy named Robert A. Glick. It's Art de Fumar.
Okay.
Art, A-R-T, de Fumar. And I just seen a lighter that he had made. Somebody posted something on Instagram one night, and that's back when I was taking a lot of photos of cigars and stuff. And he said, I sent him a message. No, sorry. Start over. Take two. I seen a post a guy had made with one of the lighters that he had made.
Yeah.
And I commented, I said, man, that's really freaking cool. I'd like to... Where do I get one?
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what I asked him. And he wrote back, oh, check my buddy out, Art de Fumar. So I started looking at all the stuff that he had made, and I sent him a message, and next thing you know, we're talking. He's I don't think he's retired, but he's a lawyer in Long Island.
Yeah.
And he just does cigar art with all the bands.
Oh, my God.
For fun, you know.
It's amazing.
And he sent me all this stuff, and we started talking, and one thing leads to another, and he's like, I'm going to Fuentes Saturday, and then I'm going to Leva on Monday to give them these one-of-a-kind humidors I made for them and all this shit. So I order a lighter, and on that Telecaster, it's got the Reds bucket hat hanging on it.
Bottom left.
I'm sending that. No, the top right.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Top right. I'm sending that pick guard, that black pick guard. I'm sending that to him to cover in cigar bands.
That's amazing.
And he's incredible, man. And he's offered to do a wall hanger piece for the Christmas show and raffle it off and give it to charity.
That's awesome.
To Second Harvest and the whole deal. So, I'll show you that later before you leave.
Yeah, he's not some half-asser, too. It's quality work.
Yeah.
It's good. So.
Okay, now saying so is there anybody else you can think of?
Well, it's funny. When I thought Larry Bird, I thought Charles Barkley and Shaq. That'd be fun to have in the same room. It would be. I'd like to talk to Don Mattingly too. We're sports fans.
Yeah.
Nolan Ryan. I would say Nolan Ryan. If I got to think about it for a long time, I got to have one sports figure, it would be between Bird and Ryan, probably.
Well, I don't know that I said that I agree 100%, but I think if you get one, you would have to think in the terms of being like, there's some people it's just not good interviews.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then there's other people that are maybe lesser on status and or levels or whatever for public.
Yeah.
That may be less, but maybe a fucking tremendous interview. So, I think you'd have to. I mean, not like you could ever really know about any of that, but.
Well, in that, because I just saw him reshare it, although you're going to spit to the side when I say this, or maybe not, Todd Steed, when he met Bill Buckner, he said Bill Buckner could not have been more of a nice and awesome dude to just sit and talk to. I was like, that's one of the, like...
I met Bill Buckner.
Did you?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not what you think. We weren't at a petting zoo, Jody. For Christ's sakes, you fucking weirdo.
That's not the first time I've been called a fucking weirdo on this show. I'm just kidding.
No, I was working at Holston Hills Country Club back in the day. And I was mowing collars on the greens. And I was up on number 5, which is a long par 5 up the road that you can see from Holston Hills Drive. I guess it's Holston Hills Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be on your left. And I was up there mowing collars, and I seen these two guys getting ready to hit in, for their... I don't imagine it was for their third shot. They'd have to be some, while he strokes it a long way, hitters if they were hitting in on their second. But so I pulled my mower off and cut it off. Went and got me a drink because there's a bathhouse right there on number 5. Mm-hmm. So there's 2 toilets and 2 water fountains. So I went and got me a drink of water. Those guys hit in. And I seen them walk up, and I'm just like, holy shit. These guys are putting the must in mustache. I mean, what are they going to do before they go in the pro shop? Just clean their cleats out on each other's mustache? Because these are boot brushes, And I said, hey, fellas, how's it going? Yeah, doing good, young man. How are you? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I think I know you guys, man. You all look familiar. I said, I don't know if you're baseball players or not, but I said, you both look like you should be on a pack of Big League Chew, back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was Bill Buckner and Phil Gardner.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And Phil, went to school in Rutledge. Just like 5 miles up the road here. Yeah. And was a University of Tennessee baseball player and World Series champs with the Pirates. Second baseman with the Pirates.
What did he play at Bearden?
We are family. he played at Rutledge.
Did he? Gardner?
Yeah.
I
Phil
guess
Gardner.
that's right. I don't know why I was thinking.
Yeah. And so we started talking, and
Did you say anything about it?
yeah.
No.
I mean, what's that?
You didn't say anything about it?
About?
It's a big fuck up.
No.
Oh, I
For
would
Christ's
have.
sake.
Red Sox, brother.
He
Red
would.
Sox.
Of course you would.
I'd have been like, you know what?
Dickhead.
I would have said, you wouldn't have missed that damn ground ball if you'd been raised at my house because you'd have got called a little idiot. But I'm glad you did, because that's another 30 years of disappointment for y'all. Hope you enjoyed your round of golf.
Oh, God.
He passed away.
Buckner?
Yeah, 19.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I
Okay.
just
So back to my.
I mean-
back to my story.
they say life's about opportunities. You fucking missed one
Yeah,
right there. Yeah,
would be okay if I finished my story.
it'd be great.
Okay.
Be great.
So yeah, I talked to him, and the next day I said, "How long you guys gonna be around?" And he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna be here through the weekend, you know." And I came in the next day and brought my Bill Buckner Cubs card and my Phil Gardner Pirates card, and I handed it to him. I met him, and I said, "Hey guys, would y'all mind signing these?" And both of them looked at it and was like, "Wow, we ain't seen those guys in a long, long time," you know. And so got their autographs. But yeah, met Bill Buckner. I did not ask him about the
Well, you know,
fucking boots.
that would have been a great. That would have been a better story.
Well, I figured
It was a good
that
story,
it
but
was
it would
just
have-
scored as an error, considering the man retired with 11 Gold Gloves in his career.
Is that how many he had?
Yeah,
Man.
let's put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Now, you could have said, "Hey, would you have missed that ball?"
Yeah,
During
would you want a 12th
would-
Gold Glove?
Would you
if
have
you'd
missed
caught that fucking ball?
Would you have missed that ball if you'd been in the World Series with the Cubs? And he'd
Yeah.
been like, "Fuck no," because I wouldn't have been in a World Series with the Cubs. So that's what he could have said. But that's all right. It's okay. Rest in peace, Bill.
Keep it up. Any more questions,
Hope
Jody?
Mookie Wilson puts damn fucking flowers on your grave every year.
Yeah.
I do have one last one, but I got another person to interview, Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla, I think, would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's still getting paid.
Yeah. The last question, it's funny that you know Sickler because I stole it from him.
Oh, yeah.
If you-
Oh, shit. I don't know.
If you
Go
could,
ahead.
but I changed the year. I
Okay.
said, if you can talk to the 14-year-old version of yourself, what would you tell him? Because I think 14 years old, you're a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
He says 16. I was like, I think 14. But God love Ryan Sickler. Like, thank you for giving me that question. And that one has been interesting, hearing all the responses of what people say. Some people start crying.
And I'm confused. I might be a little high too. What did you say? What was the
If you
question?
could talk to the 14-year-old version of yourself, what would you tell them?
14. Let me see where that
What
would
would
be.
you say to the 14-year-old version of yourself about the future and everything that you know now?
Golly, man. I would have
Yeah,
probably
I
said,
know.
"Hey, watch the carbs, fatty." that might be where
Krispy Kreme ain't all that great.
Oh my God, that might be where I start. Hey, why don't you
That
try?
hot light's on. Don't mistake it for a fucking red light. Keep it moving.
That's right. Well, that is probably what I'd say. Be like, look, you got a choice to make here.
Shit.
Oh, watch the carbs, fatty. That-
Man, I've heard that. That's a good one. Oh, fuck. Oh, I've heard that a million times. on that show.
Yeah.
What would I tell the 14-year-old self? You're worth it.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a
I think
good
that
one
would
too.
be it.
Yeah.
You're worth it.
Yeah, that's a good one. A secondary one. Carbs would definitely be at the top, probably.
Well,
I would say.
you don't say.
I would say
Fatty,
fatty
2x4.
2x4.
Can't fit through the bathroom
I would
door.
probably say, hey, get to the point where you don't give a shit what anybody thinks about 10 years sooner than you're going to get.
Yeah.
Because what people think don't mean shit. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
And that goes a lot with, you're worth it or whatever. But I would be like, listen.
Yeah, you're worth it.
Yeah. I mean, that's an overall theme. But,
Sorry.
so
I
cut
didn't
your
mean
fucking carbs and don't give a shit about what people think.
Don't be such a fat ass.
Don't be such a fat ass.
And have some self-worth. You fucking fat ass.
You worth it, you fat
You're worth it, you fat ass.
fat
Hit
bastard.
the one in the middle, Rock. Okay. Okay. I got a podcast coming up with Jody.
All right. Thank you guys.
What
for
about
being
you?
Oh, me?
Yeah, fuck off. You ain't out here yet.
Everything will work out. Don't stress or don't, as my friend Donna Lehue said, don't borrow trouble. She would say that to me when I was in my...
Boy, that's a good saying.
That's good.
In my early
That is
20s, she
good.
kept saying, don't stop borrowing trouble, and I did not let that sink in, and I still fight against borrowing trouble. So...
Well, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
That's a pretty hard one too. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that you could do without age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of the things that you might be able to tell yourself, but I think a lot of it comes with age,
The best
experience.
The best advice I've given young people is if you have a big breakup, don't try to date again for a little while. I was like,
Yeah.
you're never going to be good for somebody else until you're good with you. That's the smartest thing I've ever
Yeah.
come up with. It's like, take a break. Don't just try and go after something else to fill that. Like,
But there could be a whale tits out there, so
there's always that.
or missed opportunities. Bill
Or
Buckner.
they never stop making pretty girls,
Oh, that's
and they never stop making good-looking guys.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
I don't know. Hey, you're talking about whale tits.
I just
This
see you
guy's
go
over
back to
here.
your 14-year-old self and say, they never stop making good-looking guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm here to tell you one thing.
Or it could be, there's going to be
Am I
a woman that
confusing a
comes along
14
named Well Tits. Hold on to her for a little bit
Hold
longer.
on to her for a little
Jesus
while.
Christ. I finally fucking... you asshole. I was saying that to both sexes.
Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they put
And you get it,
but
and then you get shitty.
Twist it,
is what
twist
you do.
it.
Yeah.
Twist it.
Yeah.
uh,
He'll like this.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll be
that's what you
70,
do.
80 years old. Be like, remember that time that you met Bill Buckner and didn't tell him to fuck off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him I like guys.
You told your 14-year-old self that you might like guys, and they've never stopped making good-looking ones. Mike, little Mike. Little Mike, let me tell you something. I know you know, but they never stop making good-looking guys.
Well, I can tell you this. Maybe. I'll get to it. Don't judge me. Ramblin' Man podcast.
Yeah.
Jody Collins. give it a listen. It's good, man. I've listened to at least, like I said, I've listened to at least 3 or 4. And
I'm going to add it right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Jody is very the way he runs his is he's very he's very question oriented because he's a very curious fella about people, and I think that's, if I would be able to give advice to folks that's wanting to learn about things and or interview people and or get into anything in life to learn more, is to be very curious.
Yeah,
and I think that's a very good thing and a very good trait. But give Jody's podcast a listen. Rambling Man. As far as we go, thanks again, everybody, for being here with us. We appreciate it. We've had a really, really good time recording all these. Jody's going to be our last guest for a little bit. I think we're going to start experimenting, doing a few more things just to see how things go, and maybe even add some video to all this mess.
Yeah,
but,
we're doing that for sure.
One thing to be sure of, and one thing to that we will tell everyone's 14-year-old self, and we'll also tell you today, is it costs nothing to be kind, but there is a price to pay for cruelty. So, cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Here's one more for the good guys. We love you.